Morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Open. It is a Wednesday, April 15th. Happy tax day to everyone who celebrates. And if you're in the United States, everyone celebrates. We are back again. We are live. Probably less rich because we had to pay some money to Uncle Sam, but we're here and we got a lot to talk about. Green pre-market again, which is very nice to see. Pockets of green. Some pockets are red, not as blistering green as it was over the past couple days, but we're pretty green. And it's nice to see. The momentum over the past couple of weeks in regards to negotiations with Iran have continued to increase. We got pretty good confirmation yesterday that we are going to be having a second round of negotiations starting on Thursday, which should be tomorrow. Again, not literally confirmed, but basically confirmed. And if those negotiations are to result in anything meaningful, obviously the markets are pricing that in pretty effectively, and you're seeing the momentum right here. S&P 500, 694.84. You got Robinhood, which is once again coming back. She's making her comeback. Yesterday, we were up 10%. After hours, we were up 4%. Today, we're up 8%, 85.30. We haven't seen 85 since early February. And then it was actually 85 right before those earnings. And then the earnings happened and it fell all the way to 60. And now maybe we're making a comeback. I mean, if we get back into a bull market, S&P hits all-time highs, retail starts to come back, Bitcoin starts to come back. This is a $100 stock when you look at all the innovation that Robinhood's doing. The earnings growth starts to continue. And then the question is, can we get to that 120, 150 range again? It's going to take some time to get there. I think there's going to be some hiccups along the way. But the fact that we are seeing this momentum in the pre-market is pretty encouraging. I want to see if it's sustainable and if it can hold. Given the level of excitement we had last night, it feels like it is possible. And the reason for it jumping last night is because of the pattern day trading rule from the SEC being overturned. So now if you have a less than $25,000 account on a Robinhood, Webull, IBKR, et cetera, you are allowed to day trade, which means more trades, more volume, more revenue. So technically it does make sense why they're getting this type of bid. But that news came out earlier in the day. It didn't really impact the stock until after hours. And so it looks like now it is having a major impact as Robinhood is up 8%. Bloom Energy, that one's flat. Oracle's up 1.6. I ran down a little bit. Tesla's up. ServiceNow up 2.5% after going down yesterday, back in the $90 range. Salesforce up 1.64. Reddit's up 1.65. Netflix, which has earnings soon. We'll talk about that. We had a lot of earnings this morning, so we're going to start off with earnings. We had ASML, which I believe had a good earnings. Stock's not really reflecting that. Stock's down about 2.4%, but we had a bunch of different earnings in regards to banks and some of the tech companies. We have TSM tonight at, I think, 1 a.m. Eastern. And then Netflix tomorrow after hours. So we are going to get into the earnings season again, and hopefully these earnings start to manifest in some really strong results that the market cares about. You got Bitcoin making its way back up to 75. It did hit 76 yesterday. That's also really good for Robinhood, MicroStrategy, and the crypto derivative plays. And hopefully we can see if that excitement continues and we get some more momentum. Snapchat, it's up 7%, crossing $6 because they're firing about 17% of their workforce. They also kind of reiterated their guidance for the year based on these layoffs. So the stock was at $350. Now it's at $6. It has made a move. If you got this thing below that $5 range or even in the $5 range, as layoffs now are probably going to be what's necessary to get Snapchat to the next Russian. All right, so that's what we got. That's what we got. We're going to get into a lot of these different headlines. Yep, the quantum stocks are moving. There is actually a story I should start out with that I think you guys will be entertained by. It's a stock that's up 60% in the pre-market. I'm sure people will be curious why, so we'll talk about that. And then we'll get into all the war updates, and we'll get into all the other AI headlines that we have as that we have today as well. Benny, shout out to Hood Gang. We're back. Hopefully, this is one has been hurting for the past couple of months, but we know how fundamentally strong of a company it is. It's just been stuck in a little ugly macro environment. Maybe if that shifts, we saw how crazy Hood was last year in terms of the level of explosion it had. Maybe there's a chance for that to be replicated again going into this year. Triple V, thank you for the $200 super chat. Appreciate you, Triple V. Thank you for being here. And someone says, why aren't they Argentinian pesos? Looks like he's back in the U.S. Thank you, Triple V. Thank you for being here. He also has a relatively large position in Robinhood. He's been in Robinhood for a long time. So I think this move in the pre-market is appreciated by everybody. All right, so let's get into it. First story to get started with, and then we'll keep going from there. This thing, it's going to be hard to believe, but it is real. It is not fake. Do you guys remember Allbirds, which was a shoe brand footwear company, comfortable, sustainable shoes. This thing I think went public in 2021, ultimately was not able to maintain any level of excitement or momentum or really challenge any of the big shoe brands that are out there. I think it was a SPAC, ended up pumping and dumping. Well, they liquidated all their assets today. They raised $50 million in convertible notes, and they're now buying GPUs and beginning to offer AI infrastructure. Stock's up 70% in the pre-market. The first thing I saw when I saw the story was, okay, this is a top. This is like classic euphoric top behavior. But then when you think about it, it's like, well, if the shoes aren't working, the GPUs are. I mean, if there's someone who's willing to license their GPUs and get AI infrastructure from them, and if Bird does have some assets that would be applicable, like a factory to run a data center, and I'm totally making all this up, I don't know if any of it's real. I would not buy this stock at these levels just because there's no level of really certainty or understanding of what's happening. There is a world in which I could see the C-suite make sense of this by completely pivoting the business into AI infra, but it reeks of desperation. But then again, all the Bitcoin miners were also pretty desperate. Now, the Bitcoin miners had a lot more energy infrastructure that made sense for why they pivoted to GPU and AI. I mean, Iran, all these companies were in the Bitcoin world, and they pivoted, and that's how they saved their stock. I don't know if Allbirds is going to do that, but it is kind of hilarious to see that they are doing that. Wow, it's now at 522, 109%. 109%. Yeah, Beyond Meat should pivot to Beyond AI infrastructure. Maybe that is something that saves. I mean, it is kind of crazy, dude. So market cap right here it's going to open up at about 50 million. So obviously it can pump pretty heavy. Dude, the shares outstanding are 8 million. I mean, that's another reason it's pumping so much. If people are just piling into this thing, there's not that many shares to go around. It will be a game of musical chairs, obviously, and eventually someone will be left holding the bag, unless they actually come out with some commitments and say we signed a deal with Microsoft. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. But that is one of the craziest stories I saw this morning. So beyond chips, yes, exactly. Musical shares. No, it's literally musical shares. See, this stuff doesn't happen in a bearish market, but one could argue this happens in an overly bullish market. But I'd rather be overly bullish than bearish, because, you know, if the Iran war was still going back and forth and it was still super aggressive and oil was spiking up every day, I don't even think there would be any momentum in the algorithms to be able to take this thing higher than where it is right now. So I guess we're going to see what happens when the market opens, and maybe we'll get some more details on this AI pivot. But nonetheless, that is what Allbirds is now doing today. Okay, so that's what we had with Allbirds. Let's get into a couple updates on the war, and then we will get into earnings. So basically, the major update that we got yesterday was the New York Post report that Trump is getting ready to pivot, or Trump is getting ready to insinuate that there will be more negotiations. So he told a reporter in Pakistan that you should stay over there because something could be happening over the next 2 days. Vicente, Rubio, Vance, they kind of all but confirmed this means that we are going to start negotiating. The Pakistani mediaries or intermediaries are getting ready for the U.S. and the Iranians to come back to Pakistan in a couple of days, or literally by the end of tomorrow. And that means we should likely see some more excitement on the potential of a negotiation. This is what Trump said yesterday on Fox News around Iran wanting a deal.
I had to divert, because if I didn't do that, right now you would have Iran with a nuclear weapon. And if they had a nuclear weapon, you would be calling everybody over there, sir. And you don't want to do that.
Well, you keep saying is this war over?
I think it's close to over, yeah. I mean, I view it as very close to over. You know what? If I pulled up stakes right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild that country. And we're not finished. We'll see what happens. I think they want to make a deal very badly.
I think they want to make a deal very badly. Again, the ability for this bull market to continue is contingent on that deal actually happening. By the way, oil 91.24. We are finally getting back to those levels that we were at when the ceasefire was announced. That's another reason the VIX collapsed yesterday, and another reason the market hit, I mean, not an all-time high, but very, very close to an all-time high. The idea is the market is pricing in this is over, and this is going to be over relatively soon. And if that is the case, then once again, equities might have a better shot to go higher. In terms of China, Trump will be meeting with Xi on May 15th. This is what he said. This is what he said this morning on Truth Social. China is very happy that I am permanently opening the Strait of Hormuz. I am doing it for them and also the world. This situation will never happen again. They've agreed not to send weapons to Iran. President Xi will give me a big fat hug when I get there in a few weeks. We are working together smartly and very well. Doesn't that beat fighting? But remember, we are very good at fighting if we have to, far better than anyone else. Once again, when you not even psychoanalyze Trump, but just use his words to analyze what he's saying, look at this question. Doesn't that beat fighting? It's like, yeah, diplomacy definitely beats fighting. But then he's like, but remember, we are very good at fighting. So it's like, he's trying to hedge himself back and forth by being like, the U.S. is strong. The U.S. is the big bad dog in the house where we can kill anybody. But also, we don't really want to do it. We don't actually want to get into World War III. And so all of this to me is just more and more of a sign of de-escalation. If you are deploying capital, maybe all this goes back to the March 30 flows. I just find the probability of that possibility very unlikely given how much he's trying to essentially de-escalate. And the fact that we're having round 2 of talks a week after round 1 of talks failed means that there's a chance for this to end up not being too bad. And as a result, the relationships between Trump and China get better, and markets will probably price that in and like it more often than not. This is what Trump said about Xi last night on Fox as well.
There's never been anybody tougher in China than me, but I also have a good relationship with President Xi, and that's a good thing. Remember this, TikTok, billions and billions of dollars, not the biggest thing in terms of China, bigger is the other things I do, but everybody said they will never approve the deal, it's a hard no. President Xi said, it's a hard no, we will never do it. Then American business people got together, paid billions of dollars, and I called up President Xi. I said, be a good thing if you did it, and he did it. There's never been anybody tougher in China than me. But
I don't think Trump wants to go on May 15th to China and still have a war going on, not have a deal in the next month, because oil prices, the economy would not like that either. Inflation expectations wouldn't like that. Earnings growth would be hard to give a premium to if we still have this overhang of an ugly macro. So before earnings season, it's actually the best time to get this deal over with. And second of all, Xi is probably not happy about everything that's going on because they want to buy cheap Iranian oil, and they want oil prices in general across the world to be cheap because China is a net exporter across the entire planet, right? And oil is necessary in order to be able to supply factories with the energy that's needed to produce things. So, I mean, Xi's definitely not a fan of everything that's going on right here, especially because he probably doesn't want to defend the Iranians against the United States. I mean, like I would imagine China and Russia would be willing to help, but they really don't want to get into a proxy with the United States at this moment. They probably have other things that they are concerned about. And I don't think Trump wants to get into a war with China and Russia. So it seems like this is going to come to an end. And if it does come to an end sooner or later, we're going to have a lot more momentum in regards to equities. Now, a lot of that theoretically, you could say, has been priced in because we've had such a big rally from the lows, but we have not had an earnings-driven rally, aka earnings have not really happened yet. We've had a few earnings, but not the big names. If Google, Microsoft, Meta drop some really, really big numbers, NVIDIA, I mean, if we get those numbers where it's like, oh yeah, this is the greatest tech revolution of all time, this is the greatest time in history to be an investor in the stock market, then I think we're poised to probably not be as scared as we were a couple of weeks ago when the war was going on. And so time will tell, but it looks like we are headed in the right direction. Again, we talked about Hood. It got that pattern day trading rule reversed. I think that was the kind of core reason why this stock has taken off. It's not really Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin is up, but Bitcoin was at 74 a couple of weeks ago, for a couple of days, and Hood didn't really react. One theory I heard last night from someone in the chat, I think was a good one, that the banks, which we're going to talk about their earnings in a second, their trading volumes have been massive. JP Morgan, Bank of America, if we looked at their earnings today and you looked at trading volumes, it's like up 25-30% year over year. Now, Robinhood's trading volumes in the Q1 were not good, but if the banks had such good trading volumes, I think the market's pricing in potentially that the trading volumes for Robinhood in Q1 were the worst it's going to be this year. And because it's the worst it's going to be this year, if you can assume, the beautiful thing about the market is we can look forward and move on from this and sort of price on what the future will have. If the future is trading volumes are coming back, especially if we're in a more bullish market, then Robinhood probably deserves a premium. And then if Bitcoin comes back, Robinhood's going to get a real big premium. So two elements to that, along with the pattern day trading rule being priced in, that I think is creating this momentum. And that's why we are up 8%. QBTS is up 10% right here, 10.49. I don't know exactly why, Tess, if you have the headline. I did see a video, though, by our boy Alan, who is the CEO of D-Wave, and he's talking his talk. He's talking his talk at the Semaphore World Economy Conference. This is what he said about Jensen and NVIDIA being scared of what's happening with quantum in the future.
Do you worry about having enough energy to achieve what you want to achieve. I don't. So if I was NVIDIA, I'd be shaking in my boots because frankly, they're going to make processors that there's not enough power to run. Quantum computers are extremely energy efficient. So think about this. Our quantum computer takes about 10 kilowatts of power to run. Think of that as maybe the equivalent of 5 or 10 GPUs.
Sorry, the audio is not the best on this clip. I don't have the actual source footage, but the kind of core point of what he said is that the energy efficiency inside these quantum computers is significantly better than whatever the best version of NVIDIA's GPUs have. And he's saying NVIDIA should be scared in their boots. And what's interesting about that is I don't think he's necessarily wrong. Now, is the vocabulary that he's using sounding a little off-putting, just like the IONQ CEO did a couple years ago when he said, NVIDIA GPUs will be relevant by 2027? Maybe you can have, a little bit of a concern with that. But I don't think Jensen's hosting an entire quantum day unless Jensen is a little, maybe scared is not the best word, but cautious of what these quantum computers can become. I mean, you're not telling me NVIDIA is going to publicly bring all these CEOs together for quantum and talk about them and release an entire press article about why quantum is the future if they didn't want to embrace that part of the industry, even if they were embracing it off the pure fact that they need to be partners versus adversaries in case something were to happen where there would be a breakthrough in quantum. And Jensen's a very smart man to be doing that. So and Jensen speaks his book all the time, obviously. So I don't think it's necessarily crazy for the CEO to be saying that, but it's definitely helping the stocks. And IONQ getting that DARPA contract along with Rigetti, IONQ up another 8%. The fact that quantum's coming back, even if you're not an investor in quantum, does mean there is more risk on sentiment coming in. Just like Bitcoin, even if you don't invest in Bitcoin, you want to track it to see if Bitcoin's coming back because it's hard for people to buy quantum stocks if there's not a little bit more of a risk appetite. And so you put Hood going up, same thing with Hood, right? People aren't buying Hood as easily if there's not more risk appetite. You got Bitcoin going up, Hood going up. You got Allbirds that's now up 187% because they have pivoted from footwear to GPU AI infrastructure. And you've got quantum. And boom, maybe we have some more excitement to get back into this bull market. So that's what you got. Wow, 177%. I wonder how much this squeezes. I wonder, what's the short float on there? There's only 10 million shares outstanding. Bird short float is 20%. Ah, this could get crazy. This could get a little crazy. Again, you got to be very cautious. I do not have a position in this. I saw this news 3 minutes before I went live. I'm not trading this, but if you are in this, you just got to be very careful in case someone dumps it big and then everyone starts leaving and dumps it. It collapses. But the fact that they're pivoting to AI and that's enough to get the market to be excited about it also shows that market excitement around AI in general is a very big deal. Mitch, should Nike do it? Dude, if Nike got rid of their shoes, I mean, Nike's what, a $70 billion company? Nike could liquidate a lot of assets and buy a ton of GPUs. I mean, that stock would go up. It would freaking go up. It's Nike GPUs, just do it. GPU branded, just do it. Just AI it. Oh, man. That would be exciting. The reason Nike's up, by the way, in the pre-market is because you had 3 directors, including Tim Cook, buy some stock yesterday. I think they bought collectively $2 to $3 million worth of stock. They didn't really buy a lot of stock, but the fact that they're buying, I think, is getting the market excited that, okay, at least the directors feel that it's undervalued. And that's probably enough to make the market a bit more excited right there. So there you go. Yeah, AI Nike up 20%. Just GPU it. NAIKE. There you go. That's what you would get. All right. So that was the update on the Iran war, the negotiations that are continuing. Hopefully those negotiations turn out well. Again, we talked about Trump and China being a bit more friendly right here. And if that continues, then maybe things will be okay. Besant, he was live this morning. Here's a couple things he had to say about the state of the economy.
Why do you think that, why are you so sure that inflation will not creep higher as a whole? You know, obviously there's oil prices and gas prices, but it filters into the industrial economy. We've seen fertilizer prices rise, which could impact food prices. And there's still, you know, pockets of inflation around electricity and health insurance.
Well, we're also seeing a lot of things fall. Again, I found when I was in the investment business to kind of line up my facts. So fertilizer, 75% of the planning's already done. That if fertilizer prices don't come down by September, October, then could it be a 27 problem? Sure. But I think that they will, highly confident. And then what we look at, whether it's CPI or PCE, those are lagging measures of inflation. If we look at the real-time data, owner's equivalent rent
Softened.
it has really softened. They're back to 2022 levels, but that gets picked up with a 6-month delay.
Sure.
In the inflation numbers, we are seeing groceries start to come down. We are seeing the healthcare start to come down.
So you're pretty convinced that we're on a downward trend on inflation?
Yeah, well,
besides oil.
In core. Sure.
In core inflation.
Yeah, and the market-based indicators are also telling you that there is no transfer in terms of inflation expectations.
What about the impact?
So, I mean, Besant's not necessarily wrong there, because the 50% of the increase in PPI and CPI over the past month in March has been oil. And we looked at that yesterday when we got the PPI data. I mean, the market is such in a bullish mode that we had the worst producer price index report since 2023, and the market did not care. I mean, talking about not caring, the market was like, it's okay. It was a 1-month thing. We'll be back to normal soon. That's how much excitement that's sort of proliferating right now in terms of how the market is kind of feeling like this coiled up spring that's ready to go up. And Besant's basically affirming that argument by saying, look, inflation's, it matters, but it's structurally coming down, which he was right about. We took a detour with the Iran war. If that ends soon and oil continues to come down, which I don't think we're going back to 70 anytime or 50 anytime soon, but at 91, maybe we can go back to 80, maybe 75, and kind of consolidate around that range. We will have oil come down, and we will have inflation come down, and that's how the market's going to be a lot more excited about giving equities a premium. Here's what Besant had to say about job growth as well.
And the job growth has been sluggish in manufacturing.
Yeah, but again, I think we're going to see these new facilities come online, especially pharmaceuticals. We've seen, I would hazard a guess at a record amount of groundbreaking for new pharmaceutical facilities.
And then here's what Besant had to say about gas stations staying honest to their right prices.
Be looking at Treasury to try to keep the retail gas stations honest, that you did this on the way up, better be doing this on the way down. And I'm sure the president will call out anyone who's a bad actor in terms of...
That sounds like a warning.
I am sure that everyone will be a good actor.
So
that's what you got from Besant this morning, and it's giving the markets a lot more confidence that things are going to be okay. And we will see if we can get our 11th day in a row. Guys, this is the 10th. Yesterday was the 10th green day for the stock market. It was the longest stretch for the NASDAQ going up. It's about 12.5% since 2009. Since 2009, this has been the stretch. It is unbelievable to see this type of excitement for the markets. But the NASDAQ has risen now 10 straight sessions for the first time since 2021, gaining 13.7% over that stretch, the largest since 2009. I mean, this has been a pretty historic run that we have had, and not everyone got the bottom. Not everyone got exactly the price they wanted, but I think just getting in is really important. And the poll was split yesterday, 33, 33, 33. So when I asked yesterday in the market open, who bought in size, who bought but not bought in size, and then who is still cash, it was literally split 3 ways. So that means around 67% of people have deployed. Still 33% of people haven't, and that's okay. It is just different from March of last year. If I asked that poll March of last year, it would have been like 90-10. Retail, and we saw it in the data, right? Retail bought $80 billion, $40 billion in March, $40 billion in April of the dip. The institutions were selling those shares at incredibly discounted valuations to retail because I think it was Trump's first year in his second term. So the institutions really didn't understand how to navigate a chaotic Trump. This time, I think the institutions were a lot better. I mean, the fact that our drawdown max was 8%, that was a lot of institutions saying, yeah, this is not something we're going to get that scared of, although it was scary. but maybe it wasn't something that allowed them to, take the markets down 30%. Because there's no way last year we went down 30% on the S&P, destroyed 2 years of gains because of retail, right? Retail doesn't even have that much of a force to bring down the market. Like, that was structural selling at scale. And, you didn't see that this time. So those were the opportunities in regards to dips, and hopefully that continues. By the way, before we talk about earnings, we talked about the stat yesterday. It's an important stat that hedge funds are covering their shorts at the highest level in the past 5 years. And the exact number is hedge funds have taken down their short by 11.5%. So hedge fund short exposure in US listed ETFs fell 11.5% last week. And that is also causing a bit of a squeeze across the entire market. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, if this is just a squeeze on the market, then this is not a real rally, right? Because squeezes can happen all the time, but that doesn't mean there's anything sustainable about this. And I think the nuanced understanding of this is, yes, that's fair, but the squeeze is happening in Nebius. The squeeze is happening in Bloom Energy. The squeeze is happening in CoreWeave. Like, those are stocks that have had 40, 50% moves in the past 2 weeks. Those are the ones that are squeezing the shorts because there was obviously a high short float. I don't think NVIDIA or Amazon squeezing anybody, right? Because the short floats on those are less than 1%. I think, and we'll find out tomorrow when we get some more money market fund data, I think there's net new capital that is finally coming into the market along with these hedge funds covering their shorts. That's creating this like magnitude of a rally that, along with retail getting more excited, you have all three of those forces coming together. And that's why we're sustaining at basically all-time highs. And today, if we cross above 7,000, it's going to be pretty incredible. I don't think Trump's going to want to lose that, which means I think he will tell JD Vance when he goes to Pakistan, dude, we just hit 7,000. Get the damn deal done. Make it happen. Because if you don't, we're probably going back down. And so I think there's a lot of forces coming together that are, giving the market more energy. Is it a good time to close hedges today? And is it a good time to close hedges on Hood? Okay, so I think in general, on Hood, you have to ask yourself, do you think this breakout is real? And I was talking about it with Jason last night on Technical Tuesday. He's getting ready to close his hedges as well. Again, I closed mine about a month ago. So I've been running weekly covered calls, but I didn't have that massive overall covered call position on my portfolio, the 100 covered calls. And I probably closed those out too early because then the stock ended up going to 60, but I still made 70% on those, right? And so the logic here on closing a covered call, not just on a Hood, but on any position that or a hedge on any position is, if we get a deal, do we get new all-time highs on the S&P? Because if we do, then SoFi, which has been depressed, look at that, SoFi 4% pre-market. All the banks crushed it. Why is SoFi, being depressed? Like, it shouldn't. If SoFi delivers a massive quarter, along with how the banks have already done, sentiment should be in the right direction. If Bitcoin comes back, sentiment on Hood should be in the right direction. If AI data center spend continues to go up, Nebius, CoreWeave, Iran. CoreWeave, by the way, got $1 billion investment from freaking Jane Street today. CoreWeave up another 1.3%. And Jane Street says they are pledging $6 billion of revenue or of capital that they're going to be allocating to CoreWeave's products in order to run their funds more effectively. I mean, you're starting to see a lot of players come out to play. So if the question is, should I get rid of my hedge? It obviously depends on the stock. But I mean, if we're getting out of the woods, yeah, you don't want to have the hedge on, right? You want to close the puts, you want to roll the calls, you want to get rid of the calls. You don't want there to be something stopping this excitement. Now, the counter perspective here, if I were to push back against myself, is saying that we've already had such a big run from the lows that it's time for us to give a lot of this back. And I think that's fair. That could happen. That's what we're used to over the past 2 months. But that's also what we were used to in March of April of last year. And then we had 6 months in a row of green until October. I don't know if we could repeat that back to back, but if the deal ends, or if we get a deal with Iran and earnings growth comes back and inflation comes down, I don't know. I think there's a world in which it's at least possible to be higher from here, which means, you want to have those shares and have the ability to let them run. Microsoft up another 1% as well, as that continues to keep making a move. The VIX is down. That is correct. It was down about 4% yesterday. It looks like it's going to open down another 4 to 5% today. IGV, that's up 1.2%. Snapchat on those layoffs is up. S&P is up. CoreWeave up 1.8%. All the quantum names are up. Robinhood up 7%. Allbirds up almost 200% in the pre-market as that's still running. Don't forget a possible China deal. That is also true. I mean, the U.S. is still negotiating with China on a variety of different topics, along with tariffs. So if the Xi meeting goes well in May, that could be another thing that the market cares about. Weeble's also up. So the pattern day trading rule that got reversed yesterday from the SEC, that is benefiting Robinhood and Webull the most because they have the lowest amount of account sizes. I thought it would affect IBKR, and it's not really. But there's a lot of active traders on IBKR. It's just, I guess the market is assuming that people on IBKR have much more than 25,000 as the average account size. Same thing with Schwab, whereas Robin and Webull, that's not the case. And so the market's giving a better premium to those two companies. Webull up 11%, Robinhood up 8% in the pre-market. Laura says, maybe I should start my own data center company. We'll call it Bird Dog. Yeah, I mean, maybe AK Media has just become a data center company, dude. Maybe that's what we need to go to the next level. I can borrow some money. I can buy a couple of GPUs. I've got energy on the show every morning, right? It's like you combine my energy with the data centers. We're in business. By the way, before we get into earnings, I just want to say, so when Hood was running last night, I tweeted when I'm cold, my favorite thing to wear is a hoodie, which was obviously a reference to Robinhood's stock price going up. Farzad comments, hoodies are goated. I have a Penn State hoodie from college that I still wear. Such a Northeast thing, LOL. He thought I was actually talking about clothing. And so I responded, this post was about Hood. I don't know what you are talking about, nor do I actually care because you mentioned Penn State. Thank you for your attention to this matter, AK. And then he said, you're a Rutgers fan. Shut the hell up. And the reason I'm bringing up this exchange right now is because I just want to say the level of power, pure power that I felt when I ended my comment with thank you for your attention to this matter and my initials, I get why Donnie T does it every day. I get it. I really, this is the first time where I was like, oh, that's why he does it. That's why. It's like, it is the most insulting thing you can say to someone, but in such a proper form of communication that it makes you feel like you literally are on top of the world. And I kind of want to end every text that I send to someone now with thank you for your attention to this matter with my initials. I genuinely today try it out in a conversation you're having with a friend or a family member. Literally just end your sentence with thank you for your attention to this matter and your initial. I'm telling you, you're going to feel something different. You're really going to feel something different. So I thought it was incredible. I thought it was the best thing in the world. And I might end up keep doing it. It was, first of all, it's hilarious too, because someone's like, what do you mean thank you for your attention to this? But it's just like, what are you saying, right? It's like it already catches them off guard, but it makes you feel like you're a superstar. So I will be saying it forever. All right, ASML, what do we got? They had good earnings. They crushed it. So they beat on revenue, beat on EPS, beat on gross margins by about 1%. Net income, that also beat as well. Wasn't bad. I mean, it was a decent quarter. The guide was not the best. So the guide street wanted 9.04. They came in at 8.4 to 9. So they missed on the guide. Gross margins, they came in a touch below what the street wanted, 52.5. They came in at 51 to 52. And then your R&D cost, 1.2 billion. Your installed managed base, 2.5 billion. I don't think this was a bad quarter. It just wasn't super, super exciting beyond what the street already knows. So the CEO said 2026 will be another growth year. ASML's order intake continues to be very strong. Demand for chips is outpacing supply. The stock is down 2%. The stock was up 30.4% going into the print. So could someone say it was price perfection? Sure. Also, 2% is not that big of a deal. Would not be surprised if this rebounds. But if we needed to know anything about data centers continuing to gain momentum and continue to be in the right spot, ASML is doing that. ASML is doing that, and I don't think you're seeing any issues here. I just don't think this is not one of those quarters where they re-accelerate growth to something crazy, and it's like, oh my goodness, ASML is, we have to get in. That was more at $700-800. Now it's and that's the thing about NVIDIA, right? The fact that NVIDIA re-accelerated last quarter and is guiding to another re-acceleration, 20% above expectations. That's why the street get so excited about it, but that's also why people are like, why isn't this thing going up? Obviously this is a massive move. But with ASML, I don't think anyone's screaming this thing needs to be up another 10%. Would it surprise anybody? No, because lithography is essentially a monopoly that ASML has control over. And it's just a question of, if they can keep up the continuation of the growth. Is CoreWeave still making a move? CoreWeave, up 2.8%. Again, you've got Jane Street investing $1 billion. Jane Street investing $1 billion into CoreWeave. That news came out a couple hours ago. It looks like it's starting to really affect the stock right here, but 3% up, 120.5. I mean, CoreWeave's all-time high was 187. CoreWeave was 67 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. So the fact that it's made this move from 67 to 120, I mean, this has made people's year if they bought the CoreWeave bottom. This has completely made people's year, which is why it's also, Incredible to see this. If you have CoreWeave calls, I see someone saying they have CoreWeave calls. Yep, there you go. Those will print this morning. Those will print. Dude, if I was a CEO on an earnings call, I definitely would end the earnings call with thank you for your attention to this matter. Like, it's just, I'm telling you, it gives you a sense of power. Like, I get why Trump does it. It's so obnoxious. Well, that's the other thing. It's so obnoxious, but it's also not, because you're just like, you're being nice about it. Like, thank you for listening to me, right? It's like you're showing your gratitude for someone listening and caring about your opinion or your statement, but you're doing it in a way that is so obnoxious. And there's not that many ways to be obnoxious but nice at the same time. So you combine those together and then boom, it's cringe. It's definitely cringe, but it makes you feel like you're on top of the world. So that's what we got with ASML earnings. Morgan Stanley, they beat by 14% on EPS, beat by 4% on revenue. EPS is up 32% year over year. Revenue is up 16%. The banks, again, continue to crush it, whether it's JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, BlackRock. I mean, they are not losing their momentum. Bank of America, they beat by 9% on EPS. They beat by 1% on revenue. EPS is up 25% year over year. Revenue is up 7% year over year. So once again, you're seeing these banks put up the numbers that they need to. I believe we had Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, and ASML today. Those were the major earnings. And yeah, those were the three ones that mattered. And they all pretty much crushed it. BAC pre-market, that is up 2%. Nice to see. Morgan Stanley pre-market, that's up 2.81%. Very good to see. Goldman Sachs actually went down because their fixed income business wasn't the best a couple of days ago. And they recovered yesterday. So the street is overlooking some of the sort of broader issues that the market might be afraid about, because trading revenues and investment banking revenues are still continuing to thrive very, very well. So look, the banks are crushing it. That's what we need. We need the banks to crush it. And the more the banks crush it, the better of a shot the tech companies have to get a premium for crushing it as well. And so far, the banks are doing what they need to do. And ASML crushed it as well. Again, the stock's not moving like crazy, but nonetheless, they had a good earnings. That's all that matters. TSM will be tonight, not after the close, but at like 1 a.m. Eastern, because they're in Taiwan, and then we'll see what numbers they put up. Allbirds, 173%. Robinhood up 7.6. Let's see if we can hold the 80s today. Rocket Lab as well. Nice little move, 73. Palantir almost got to 138 yesterday. There was a new Claude model from Anthropic that came out yesterday, Opus 4.7, or at least it's rumored to be coming out soon. And the SaaS stocks actually fell intraday on that model being released, which, like, it's annoying, but I'm happy to see the market once again rebound because, like, how many times are we going to play this game, right? How many times are we actually going to be playing this game? So at least the SaaS stocks are getting a green pre-market right here. The whole goal of this model is to replace AI design tools. So Adobe and Figma got hit the worst, but everything got hit because of just Anthropic being part of the newswire and the idea that a new model would destroy SaaS again. But hopefully it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And you're seeing IGV once again get this rebound. Okay, so that's what we had on Anthropic. Some macro stuff, because we got a bunch of different macro stats to look at. First of all, this guy, John Boozman, he bought $15,000 of 2x long S&P 500. He is a representative in the U.S. Congress. SPYM on March 20th is what he bought. He serves on the Senate subcommittee on commodities, risk management, and trade. So I know $15,000 is not a crazy purchase, but the fact that he's doubling up his exposure to S&P by getting leverage here, I think that is bullish, given he's an elected representative, and hopefully that means the S&P is getting ready to go higher. American Eagle is up 5% pre-market. They are launching a summer campaign with Sydney Sweeney, expanding their existing partnership. Sydney Sweeney was the reason this stock got from $10 to $20 last year. Now it's at $18.65. It looks like this collaboration has been very, very profitable for them. And, I never bought into this. I know a couple people that kind of went long this. A couple people went short this because of their concerns around the Sydney Sweeney partnership and like the issues some people had with how they were portraying her. But the point is she gets people to sell. I mean, she gets people to buy clothes. And so if she gets more traffic through the door, then I would imagine the partnership would continue to go well. So that's what we have with Sydney Sweeney. And again, that stock getting reflected with some more excitement in the pre-market. This is another thing that I thought was also interesting. U.S. growth and late-stage venture funds have raised $23.6 billion so far in 2026, up from $7.4 billion in all of 2025, and already above any full-year total from the past 12 years. The takeaway from this is that funding is growing dramatically in the VC world. And, I've been talking about the VC stuff a lot over the past couple of days. As I've just been getting more into it, and I have the whole A16Z thing. So I've been hearing more pitches and talking to more VCs, and it is crazy the amount of money that is being poured into the VC world. But a lot of this is not early stage startup. A lot of this is growth stage, AKA the companies that are eventually going to go public. Fluidstack is getting ready to raise another $1 billion at an $18 billion valuation. And Google and NVIDIA and a lot of these tech companies are invested in that company as well. There's a lot of growth stage capital coming in because a lot of people see the opportunity as so massive to capitalize on AI that you've got these funds that are ready to just pile in as much money as they can into these companies to give them a chance to win. And that's good for the public markets, because if that money ends up rotating into these IPOs and you start to see them come in, then you just have more activity. Definitely good for the banks, as they're going to be underwriting a lot of this stuff. Retail investors continue to buy Tesla. Tesla's seen 216 million of net buying over the past 5 days, as per Vanda Research, making it the most actively bought retail name again. Put in the chat if you've been buying the retail, if you're a retail investor and you've been buying the dip on Tesla. I know the stock hasn't really got back to the 400s, but it seems to have bottomed in the low 330s. And as for now, this is not NVIDIA, not Palantir, not Hood, not Amazon. Tesla is the number one stock, as per Vanda Research, that retail is continuing to buy. And maybe that signals that if earnings are somewhat decent, we get a little bit of a bigger move. By the way, JP Morgan is also expecting 60 to 70 billion in IPOs this year, a $10 billion increase from initial estimates, which means your SpaceX's, your OpenAI's, your Anthropics, all of those are likely getting ready to go public. I see a lot more no's than yeses, but I do see some yeses of people that are buying it. Art of Teaching, thank you for the super chat. Not sure if you mentioned this, but isn't this a big underrated Hood catalyst from the pattern day trade change? Yes, that is why the stock is up so much. I was confused yesterday because that news came out at 2 p.m. The stock was unaffected. And then at night, the stock started rallying on the market close, and maybe, the business wires didn't pick it up until late at night. But yeah, that's the reason Hood is up, because majority of accounts are less than 25,000. And so, there's going to be a lot more trading that can happen on those accounts. The only thing I would say is it's bullish, but I don't think it's going to affect revenue tomorrow, especially because it's going to take about 2 months for that rule to even come into place. So that rule is not going to go into place until the beginning of Q3. So the question is just going to be, how much is the market going to give it a premium on that? And I guess today we'll see when the market opens. But as per last night, Webull, Hood, all those stocks were definitely getting some excitement as they had that pattern day trading rule lifted off them. All right, here we go. Let's see. Can we get 11 green days in a row? See if we can make it happen. S&P all-time highs around that 697. Can we crack through? Can we break it? And can we get there? These are the last 20 seconds of peace and quietness that you guys will experience all day. I'm sorry I'm going to have to ruin it in the next 10 seconds, but that's okay. I don't run a data center. But I have a lot of energy. 9:30 a.m., April 15th, the stock market is now open. Wake your ass up. Let's get into it. 695.30 on the S&P. 695.30 on the S&P 500. Let's see if we can get higher from there, but we are green on the S&P. CoreWeave 118. Jane Street investing $1 billion into them. The Street's excited about that. CoreWeave getting that bump after it got a 12% bump yesterday. ASML goes red. Guidance was a very slight miss. Not sure if the Street should be that upset about that, but ASML down 3.5% on the day. SoFi, that's up 2.3%. Robinhood, giving back some of the gains. It was at 86. Now it's at 82. If we hold above 80, quite frankly, I'll be happy, given we haven't held above 80 for the past couple of months. 82.53. Let's see if that one can hold and give us that $80 level. D-Wave, that's up 7%. Ondas, that's up 1%. Meta, 670. Meta, 670. It is back. Very nice to see Meta catching that bid. There you go. Where is Broadcom. Broadcom, by the way, they announced the deal with Meta yesterday as well to design their chips for the next couple of years. So Broadcom right there, 385. That's up 1.35%. It was at 393 in the pre-market. Zeta, that's up 2%. AppLovin, that's up 1%. Microsoft, $4 away from 400. $4 away from 400 would be really nice to see if we can get there. Where is Palantir? Palantir is at 135.45. Palantir goes red. Seeing a little bit of red right there on Palantir. Rocket Lab 73.71. That's up 2%. Snapchat, that's up 7% on the idea that there's going to be mass layoffs to the tune of 17% at Snapchat, which would not be that crazy. NVIDIA, wow. Wowzers, NVIDIA, okay. NVIDIA $3 away from 200. Microsoft $4 away from 400. The Max 7 might be making a little bit of a comeback. Is SAS going red? IGV is not red, but there is a red candle that's affecting Palantir, Salesforce, Adobe, all those names. Salesforce kind of flat. It is green though. And then Adobe's actually up. So Adobe's actually holding on 2%. Palantir right there, 135.77. Robinhood, 81.64. Bank of America, that's up 3%. Morgan Stanley, that's up 3.5%. EOSE, that is up 14% as well. That one very nice to see, given that EOSE fell 15%. They fell 50% on their earnings a month ago. So it's nice to see that getting a little bit of excitement. 15% right there. Where is Allbirds? So for those that missed the story, this is a company that sold shoes. They pivoted the entire company to data centers this morning. They sold all their inventory. They raised $50 million in convertible notes, and now they're buying GPUs to offer AI infrastructure. I know it sounds crazy because it is crazy. It's hard to believe, but it is happening. That's why the stock is up 165%. Volume is 70 million on 8 million shares outstanding. And that's why this thing is moving. Iran, are we getting some love? Iran 47.41. That's green. NVIDIA, wow, 198 on Mr. NVIDIA. 198 right here on NVIDIA. Quite incredible to see. But there you go. We've been waiting for this NVIDIA moment for a while, and we're getting it. Did you just say a shoe company is making data centers? I did indeed say that. I found out 2 minutes before the market opened. It is a real headline, and it's kind of crazy. Oracle, there we go, 170. Let's see if we can get there, and let's see if we can hold on. Salesforce up 2%, Adobe up 2%, Palantir back in the green, Robinhood making a little bit of comeback, got a little bottom at 81, now 83.60, not too bad. Oracle almost 170. Netflix has earnings soon. Netflix is not today. Earnings is tomorrow for Netflix. Not today. Netflix 105. Down, but obviously up 35% from the lows of the 70s when they were having negotiations. Palantir back at 137. NVIDIA 200 resistance is 1.23 million shares. So someone needs to buy basically $250 million of NVIDIA to get this thing to crack above. Micron's red, interesting. SanDisk also red. I don't think there's any headlines on those, but they have run a lot. Nebius 160, which is red, but I mean, who cares? This thing is up 50% this week. So I don't think people are too upset about that. This company, CAR, ticker symbol CAR, is down 7%. They were up 300% in the past week. Rental car company. I didn't know too much about them, but found out yesterday. Pretty wild, but you're seeing that one get a little bit of retracement today. Intel goes red. Venture Global's up a little bit. Oil's at 91. AAOI down 3.5%. Where is Poet? That stock at 706. This one fell yesterday 10% on a short report that I thought was kind of dumb, to be honest. So that you're getting a little bit of rebound right there. That's up 5.4%. Oracle 170. Oracle 170. Microsoft, did we get 400? We got 400. She's back. 350 was your bottom on Mr. Microsoft. 400 is back. 400 is back. Grab at 387. That's up about 2%. Poet 6% up. Allbirds up 200%. All right. The traders are trading it. I don't think anyone's investing in this. The traders are trading it. And maybe the traders continue to take it up today. Palantir 136. SAS is coming back, baby. There you go. Very nice to see. Salesforce 3%. Adobe 3%. Let's look at all the other SaaS plays. Cloudflare 3%, Mongo 2%, Oracle 5%, Salesforce 2%, Datadog 7%, Snowflake 4%, Intuit 4%. Okay, SaaS is having a good day. SAS is having a very, very good day, and hopefully this continues. That could help Zeta as well. Zeta is almost at 17 again. This thing was almost below 14 2 weeks ago, whereas Amcor is Amcor green. Amcor is red, but it is up 10% for the week. Yeah, I mean, the other thing about Allbirds is you got to watch out for dilution, because if I'm the management team and my stock just went up 300%, I am calling up whatever bankers I can call up and saying, dilute. Get me more capital, because if people are willing to buy our stock at $8.42, halted, there you go, gets halted, then it's time to raise some money. Again, they only have 8 million shares outstanding. They could dump another 8 million shares, raise another $70 million, dilute the company by 50%. And if people are just like, well, it's an AI play, and they buy it up, I mean, that's an easy way for them to raise a ton of capital right now, if this actually continues to go through. NVIDIA right there, 197 pound here, back to 137. Microsoft, there you go, 400. As she is coming back, 401. If you bought the dip on Microsoft aggressively, I bought it, but not aggressively, not enough for it to even be considered a meaningful position at all. So this just was not a big dip buy for me, but if it was for you, congrats. I know Matt Money, I think Matt, our good friend, he bought Microsoft around 350, or I think like 370-ish, 365, 370. If you bought it, there you go. It's making your move. It's making your move. NVIDIA 197. Let's see if we can get above 199. Mercado Libre, that is up. Why is SaaS and FinTech so correlated? I don't think they're correlated. I think they just both have crappy narratives this year. SaaS has to deal with this Anthropic drama. And then FinTech, the narrative around trading volumes or crappy loans and credit quality and private credit, all of that is underpinning bad sentiment around FinTech. And then Anthropic theoretically challenges FinTech, because you have agentic finance that maybe sidesteps the intermediaries like a Robinhood or a SoFi. And although I don't think those bear arguments are that accurate, again, I don't think the bear arguments are that accurate around SaaS, but it is a narrative that unfortunately these companies have to deal with. Duolingo, 95.94. That's up 5%. Let's check the stock draft. We checked it 2 days ago. We are still trying to get back here. Matt's up 30. I am up 27. Tanner's up 8. Steve's up 10. And Chris is up 5. So a lot of our portfolios that got hit are starting to come back. This ends in mid-June, and then we'll see who ends up winning it. Matt's up 30. I'm up 27. Tanner's up 7. Steve's up 9. Or Steve's up 10. And then Chris is up 5. And look, if we get into a bull market, like a real bull market in the next couple months, it's going to help everybody. And the stocks with the highest level of beta probably have a shot to really benefit. Zeta right there, 17. There she goes. Nice 6% day. Thank you. Been waiting for this Zeta. Actually, back-to-back 6% days, to be honest. Yesterday was good, but yesterday was recovering. Today is actually starting to expand that multiple a little bit more. Nice to see that come back. Poet, that's up 6%. Rubric, that should be getting some love, right? Rubric, yep, 50.27. That's up 5%. This one got hit from $80. This one has a long way to go to get back, but at least it's starting to be there. Oracle 170. S&P, is that all-time high? Is that 696? Weeble's telling me that's all-time high. Let me check Robinhood, because different brokers have something different. Robinhood's telling me 52-week high on the S&P is 697.84. Yeah, so we're not officially there yet. 697.84. 697. I don't know why Robinhood is a different one than Webull, but I guess it's tracked differently sometimes based on how it hits. Schwab might have a different thing as well. But basically, if we get above 698, we are officially in all-time high territory. I mean, dude, we were at 630 on Monday. 2 weeks ago, we were at 630 on Monday. So it's nice to see this. Apple, which didn't move yesterday, Apple back to 260. This thing's been stuck. This is the only Mac 7 that really hasn't made a move from those lows. So maybe Apple's coming up next at WWDC if they show some good stuff. ASTS, okay, so the OG Space Mob member, Anna Panman, some of you guys might not know him, but a lot of the Space Mob does know him. He will be on the market close today at 5 p.m. So if you're curious about ASTS, or if you are part of the ASTS cult, he will be on at 5 p.m. We're going to talk about the Amazon GSAT acquisition, ASTS in general, SpaceX IPO. So we'll be having a very eventful space discussion today. But he'll be on, and we'll get his thoughts on why this thing is taking a hit about 15% over the past 2 weeks, or past 2 days, I should say, likely due to this Amazon acquisition. Amazon also not getting above 250, which kind of sucks given the excitement it had yesterday, but 247 is nothing to be too upset about. The Q's right there, 629. Citigroup's up 2%. C Limited's up 2.5%. Nubank is up 1%. Oklo is coming back. Where did Oklo bottom at? Oklo bottomed at 44, 63. She's back. SMR also catching a bid right there. That's up 9%. Quantum names also, again, that Jensen NVIDIA press release yesterday really got the street once again to look more at quantum. D-Wave right there up 9.4%. Rigetti, IONQ, all of those getting some love. IONQ is up 11%. Did Kathy buy Bouncer? She bought the dip at 130, 85,000 shares. She didn't buy anything yesterday, but yes, she did buy, I think on Thursday last week, about 85,000 shares. Oracle above 170, beautiful. This one definitely did not deserve to be that low, so it's nice to see that coming back. NVIDIA getting a pump to almost 198 probably is very good for Oracle as well. Should be great for AMD. Where's AMD? AMD barely read today, 253. 253. Is there any BM&R news? So the earnings weren't yesterday. People said the earnings were yesterday. It was not. Earnings are on April 29th. They did release their share count yesterday, and when you calculate the MNAV, it's a little bit lower than what people expected because of the amount of shares. But outside of that, I don't think there's any big news. You know, ultimately, the price of ETH dictates it, and we're going to have to see what they say on earnings. Birds is up 300%. Tell me what DGen here bought this stock, because I know there's one of you. There's one of you that definitely took this trade. I know it. There's definitely one of you that took this trade. It's probably more than one of you, to be honest, that took this freaking trade. All I will say is if you buy something at 7 or 6 and it goes to 10, you know, consider it's a good day's work, and maybe get yourself a fancy dinner with that money versus leaving it in there. But if you want to create potential generational wealth, you know, you got to risk it for the biscuit, because maybe this thing's going to 100. No, that's just a joke. I'm kidding. In all seriousness, if I bought this at 6 or 7 and the market's giving me 10 or 11, I'm out. I don't care if it goes to 20. But when it goes to 20, I'll look like an idiot, but still, I'd be out. Unbelievable. Almost 400, 350% here on the move. Pretty incredible. Allbirds are the ugly shoes. You know, I've never even seen their shoes. Like this was such a big brand in 2021. They made such a big deal out of the SPAC, and I never have seen their shoes, been to their stores. So the fact that they pivoted to data centers today was incredible. Palantir, 138. Palantir, 138. Exciting to see that continue to catch a bid. Grab right there is up about 2%. C Limited's up 2.5%. Ondas up 1.6. Meta, 665. They touched 670. And that is also exciting. Jason, thank you for the super chat. Why do people hate Cathie Wood so much, but in the same breath worry about what she buys daily? Why do they get so excited if she buys a stock that they own? I don't think people get super excited. I think it's more so she's the only person who runs a public ETF that is showing every single trade she does every single day. So to your point, yes, people get excited. Also, people don't like her because, you know, they probably don't like the exaggeration. I mean, again, she said Zoom would be $1,500 by 2026. It's 2026 and Zoom is not $1,500, right? So they don't love the research that ARK puts out in terms of the hype around their price targets. But there's no other fund manager that every day is putting out exactly what they're buying and selling. And that will get a lot of attention just because people are curious, you know, if someone's managing $10 billion to see what they're doing with it every day. I would say that's the logic behind it. Robinhood, trying to get back to 85. Trying to get back to 85. GameStop, are you getting a breakout? GameStop up 1%. It is up from the 19s as of last week. John, thanks for the super chat. Shamefully, I bought into the algo pump. LOL, go bird. You know, there is no shame in making money. There is no shame in making money. But the point is to make the money. And the problem is a lot of times people buy into these pumps and they don't sell. And maybe that's, I don't know. I don't know what this is going to turn into. Maybe that's the right move to not sell. But if, you know, we've seen this story a billion times, and usually it's the right thing to take profits. There are those anomalies where it's, you know, you let your winners ride and see how far they can go. But this is not really a winner per se. There's no fundamental due diligence. This is pure momentum that you're playing. And so if you're making money on it, I mean, it's a good trade, right? There's nothing wrong with a good trade. Apple right there, 258. Amazon, 248. Not making that big of a move. Yes, Zeta is making a move as well, which is very nice. 1708. That's up 5% again. This thing did not deserve to be at 14 a couple of days ago. At least I didn't think so. ServiceNow, look at that. 92. By the way, the Claude portfolio that we've been talking about, that guy who gave it $50,000 and told it to buy stocks. The first stock it bought was ServiceNow at 83. The second stock it bought yesterday, the second stock was Adobe. So Anthropic's killing all these companies, but the Claude portfolio, trained by Anthropic, is thinking that these stocks are deeply undervalued, which is incredible. Fastly, nice little rebound, 7%. There you go. Again, I've not bought this one, still doing some due diligence. It's still down about 40% from the highs, but you're seeing all of SaaS catch a bit today. Reddit as well, 1.4%. Bloom Energy holding on to 220 and not giving back any of those gains after the. I was looking more into the Oracle partnership. Bloom got a hell of a deal. Like, it's almost underrated how good that deal is for Bloom with Oracle. And it's way better for Bloom than Oracle because, Bloom's a much smaller company. But what they're doing with energy infrastructure with Oracle and the commitment they've received, I mean, it's a fantastic deal for Bloom. If they get another couple of those deals, you're looking at Bloom at a $100 billion company. Right now, they're at $62 billion. I know the bull market is back. There's more euphoria, so that's why these names are getting bid up. But Bloom was stuck at 130 for almost 2 months. So it's not like, Bloom has just been up and up and up. Like, the fact that they're finally getting these deals and the market's wanting to allocate to energy as the bottleneck, Bloom's one of those names that pops up. T1 is another one that's been getting a bit more energy. It's, it was at 9 at the highs. Now it's at 5, but it's starting to get a little bit of a rebound as people want to get back into the energy bottleneck. SoFi, 1837. That's green. AAOI is down 5%. Is this a normal pullback? Yeah, this stock has run from 20 to 150. So going down to the 139s is, I wouldn't say, not a normal thing for it to be doing. But that one also has had a massive run. Credo, they acquired a photonics play the other day, 165.48. That's up 3.74%. As that one is also getting respect from the market around photonics. Again, AAOI, Poet, LWLG, all these smaller plays have made a move. NVIDIA, 198. Let's see if it's on the board. Poet's up 5%. Robinhood's almost at 85. Palantir almost at 138. Rocket Lab, 73, up 1.5. And Bird is now up 400%. I mean, you talk about a squeeze. This thing was $4 in the morning. It was actually $3 before it ran up to 4, and now it's at 11. See, you don't see this without a bull market. You don't see this without a bull market. ALMU up another 17% as well. Yeah, this was up 45% on Friday, or on Monday. Sorry. It's interesting. The photonics plays are interesting. I've been trying to do a lot more research to understand exactly what's happening. Poet's the only one out of the photonics plays that haven't run yet. And the other thing about Poet that's actually really interesting to me, the number one country that I've seen on social media talk about Poet in terms of traders in that country talk about Poet, good old South Korea. Good old South Korea. And that to me is literally a part of the thesis, because when the South Koreans get a hold of your stock, which, by the way, they did of Tesla early. They did of Palantir back in 2022 and IONQ a couple of years ago. The South Koreans got a hold of. I mean, a lot of the South Koreans have an average of like $5 on IONQ. They tend to really stick together on these trades. And so Grok and their auto translate on Twitter now, I'm seeing all these posts on X of the South Koreans basically, well, they were not so nice yesterday about the short seller. Like, a lot of them were threatening to kill the guy, but they were pretty upset about the short report. But I could read it because Grok auto-translated it, and I was like, wow, South Koreans, they love that stock. They really, and they think it's the next photonics play to get a move, given the others have moved and this one hasn't. Grab right there, trying to hit 390. Microsoft, 403. It's moving. 403, baby. It's getting some love. Where is HIMS? 2151. HIMS has not been, even with the 40% short float, HIMS has not been able to do anything. Even with the Novo partnership and the bull market kind of coming back, HIMS has been stuck. which is very confusing to me. I would think that short float would get people a bit more excited and get in it, but that's not happening. Look at Broadcom. We might see 400. And NVIDIA, do we actually see 200 today? Let me check 199 resistance. 200 would be so amazing to finally see today. It's been 7 months since we've seen 200. Last time was in October. Tesla 370. Tesla's coming back. NVIDIA has 171,000 shares at 199 to get up there. Tesla right there, 369.81, just hit 370. The United States and Iran have agreed in principle to meet, but haven't decided on a date and a location. That's your catalyst to keep going green. There you go. Bloomberg, the United States and Iran have agreed to meet, but do not have a date or time. Oh, pump it up, baby. Pump it up. It's time. It is time. I mean, if the market's going like this and we don't even have like a deal, we just have a agreement for a deal. I wonder what happens when we get a deal. Look at Service now, 80 to 93. Congrats if you bought that dip. Adobe as well, 225 to 242. Software finally making a move that looks like it legit bottomed last Friday. Palantir, do we see 140? Do we see good old 140 here? 140 resistance. If NVIDIA hits 200, Palantir hits 140 at the same time. That would be amazing. 32,000 shares, 140 on Palantir. NVIDIA 198, Tesla 370, Rocket Lab 72.84. Lemonade is 64.65. 64.65, and Robinhood getting an 85 move. Dude, if Hood comes back, if Palantir comes back, if NVIDIA comes back, if Broadcom comes back, and we get a deal, and we get all-time highs on the S&P, and you get good earnings, Meta's probably back at 740. I mean, we might legit be back. Bloom Energy, another 3%. Another 3%. Archer, we haven't looked at this in a while. Archer, are we at 6? 598. This one is still down a lot year to date. eVTOLs have not been in the headlines that much this year. Archer's down 27%. It was at 9 in January. I mean, if that one comes back, it would be indicative of kind of what's happening here. Birds up 360%. Reddit also should make a massive move. I mean, if we don't have a bear market war as an overhang, Reddit's going to grow 60, 70%. On every forward metric, they're cheap. Now, obviously, Meta is still a safer bet, but Reddit is profitably growing. And this thing, remember, this thing got up to 300 last year. So it's not like it hasn't got to the 230s, 250s, and kind of normalized in those levels for a few months. NVIDIA, 198.28, SMR up 15. TMDX, this one is one that I've not been able to really, really spend time with, but it is interesting. The problem with TMDX, as cool as it is as a company, and as much as I like their growth, you got tech that's on sale still. And so the question is, will TMDX outperform these tech stocks? And I think that's a big burden in terms of capital allocation if it's not going to. But, it is incredibly interesting, and they do have earnings coming up. So it will be important to see how they're making progress on organ transplants. But just a lot of these names, Grab at 394, a lot of them. I mean, this is why I don't get why people are buying Nike. It trades at 30 times earnings. Meta is still cheaper than Nike. Meta is still cheaper than Nike. And it's Meta. It's Facebook. This is something 4 billion users. Nike has a brand problem in terms of people even wanting to buy their shoes, and it's expensive. And Meta's cheap. So it's hard to compare some of these companies that aren't in tech and aren't discounted more than companies that have a massive moat and that are in tech with way better margins. Oracle 171. Oracle 171. What is the resistance for Hood at 85? We already crossed 85, so there's no resistance. The next level would be 90, which I can check, and we'll see if that has heavy resistance. Allbirds 1115. It looks like so far 1272 was the high. Could we break above 1272, or is that enough? Yes, Nike needs to build a data center. That is correct. That would be very nice. Very, very, very nice. Iran 4740. Mid, are you buying more Grab? I have bought enough Grab. I would say I have a full position. I bought another 3,000 shares, 2,800 to be exact, the day of the ceasefire being announced. So I would say I'm a little grabbed up. Now we want to see this thing get back above 450, make its way to fives. They have all the earnings, the catalyst, the buybacks, the acquisitions to make it happen. But I think you need a good macro. And if we get one, then C Limited, New Bank, a lot of these international stocks. Oh, where's the Dixie? Because a lot of the reason they were going down was because the Dixie was pumping as well. Yeah, Dixie's down. Look at that. 98. It was almost at 101 a week ago. That's another big catalyst for these international stocks, given the foreign currency differences that they report their revenues in. Reddit right there, 160. 160. IGV is up 3%. Palantir's lacking behind. Remember, Palantir never fell as badly as the other software names. So, yeah, Palantir might be below IGV. It's not literally going to track IGV on a day-to-day basis, but it also didn't have as ugly of a fall as a Salesforce and Adobe, which is why they are outperforming IGV today, as Salesforce and Adobe are up. Okay, not bad. Not bad at all. I mean, it's nice to see 11 green days in a row. Julian says this string of events just keeps the market green, just keeps stringing us along each day, then a deal and boom, we'll be up 10% in a month. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff ends up just happening day by day, and then you look back and you're like, oh, like we've made, I mean, that's kind of what it felt like last year. It's like month by month, we just kept getting more momentum after that ugly drawdown. And look, the other thing that's the most important thing about this, and we were talking about this yesterday, there's two words that matter about everything, about what's going on, in my opinion. There's two words that define everything that's happening. Earnings growth. If you don't have a macro overhang around oil and a war anymore, then there's only one thing that matters, and that's earnings growth. And the question then becomes, are these companies growing earnings? And it's like, yes. 80% of companies in the S&P 500 beat earnings last quarter. So if they keep growing, if they stop growing earnings, it's all downhill, which is why 2021 was so painful into 2022, because we legit had lack of growth in earnings year over year. And it's hard to buy stocks when they're not showing EPS growth. But if they are, and AI is just a tailwind for the productivity and margin enhancement to get them to show that EPS growth, everything else becomes rather irrelevant. But if that growth continues, then it would likely not be stopping. The banks look good. The banks look great. I'm going to go through the transcripts tonight, but the Bank of America and JP Morgan trading volumes, massive. Like the prime brokerages are seeing record trading volumes. They're up like 35% or 25 to 30% year over year. Which just means, quite frankly, retail has been more depressed over the past month, given Robinhood's metrics don't look like that. But it also might be signaling a bottom for retail trading activity, which means we should be seeing a lot more of that. But the banks are making a ton of fees, and all these banks are underwriting all these IPOs. They're going to make lots of money. I mean, the banks collectively, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, are reportedly going to make $500 million just on the SpaceX IPO, which is why Elon was forcing them to buy subscriptions to Grok inside of their banks, because he's like, you can't just make $500 million off my IPO and not give me a little bit of that. So, I mean, these IPOs are going to be very profitable for a lot of these banks. Palantir 137, Tesla back above 370, Marvell, this one's been great, up 1.5% as well. Cash Moolah, thanks for the super chat. It's tax day. Wish me luck, guys. Yeah, look, it's not fun for having to potentially sell stocks to pay your taxes, but it's also like, if you're an investor and you don't kind of keep money on the side, you kind of have to. And that is what many of us, unfortunately, will have to be doing today. SMR making a bigger move. Making a bigger move. Tess says maybe I should go away and come back more often. Dude, Tess, you left us for a month with the most annoying drawdown that I think we've experienced over the past 2 years, because it was about this war that everyone's like, what is going on? And the day you come back, S&P 500 basically all-time highs. So I don't want you to leave every other month, but if you do, and we get a rally the best since 2009, then it is what it is. We're going to have to deal with it. NVIDIA, she's trying. Yeah, test time to come back. That's probably true. Tess probably realized we were about a V-shape, and she was like, let me come back right when we V-shape. And then I'll get all the credit for the V-shape. Archer up 5, Reddit up 3, Lemonade up 2. Oh, wow. Super. By the way, X is changing their freaking cash tags. So now X is becoming more of a data play on stocks. And when you click on a stock, you'll see more data. So Chris Camillo just posted this. If you click on Amazon, for example, you'll see a chart and you'll see the most relevant posts under that ticker. I haven't updated my app yet, but they are trying to kind of keep people in the finance community on the product by incorporating better UI and UX around stock market content, which is really good. It keeps people on the app, keeps people entertained, and user engagement for them also should increase. But if anything, it keeps sentiment around markets at a certain level if people can easily access that information. Micron down 3. I don't know why Micron's down. I'm not sure why Micron's down. If you have 2028 calls on a company that gets bought out, what happens to the call? So I don't exactly know, but I had a friend who was in this situation, and I think the calls just automatically close that day, and you get the price that it's worth. So if you're up like 200% on the calls, like the market makers close out the call, they give you the whatever you're up on that day, or whatever you should be up, right? If the stock were to go to a level much beyond your strike, and then you take away the cash. I believe that's what happens, but I've never been in that situation. Ooh, why is ASML Meta 672? Why is ASML getting a 5? ASML and Micron today, just not what the market's like in here. Not what the market's liking. What happened to Martin Shkreli shorting Quantum? I think he gave up on that short a year ago. And I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with Shkreli, but Shkreli is the reason that the California senator or California governor dropped out of the race. What was that guy's name? Dude's name was Eric Swalwell. Shkreli posted a video of this guy kissing another woman who wasn't his wife. And it's so weird, right? Because Shkreli's like a finance guy. Somehow he got this video. He posted it on Twitter. And then 2 days later, Eric Swalwell had to drop out of the California governor race. So I guess he moved on from focusing on quantum shorts to getting rid of governors from running in a political race. I guess that's what he's doing. QBTS, is that still moving? 13%. Dude, it literally felt like a scene from Scandal. Because now that I'm watching Scandal, there's so many scenes of like people sabotaging other politicians. And I was like, dude, Shkreli is literally acting like one of the characters from Scandal. NVIDIA, are we going for it? Are we going for 199? Are we going for it? He said Rokana is next. Well, I guess if that's how he wants to live his life and go after the politicians, then that's what he's going to do. 199 resistance is 130,000 shares. 130,000. Oh, OSS had a big update today. OSS, there you go. Getting a nice move right there. The stock actually didn't move when this update came out, but it moved. It's moving now. They released a shareholder letter highlighting record quarterly EPS and gross margins. And for 2026, they guided to 20 to 25% revenue growth and 40% gross margins and positive EBITDA. So they put out a shareholder letter today basically saying things are going in the right direction. We're increasing our guidance estimates for next year. And Street likes it. Again, this is one of my favorite small caps. And a couple more big government contracts, this thing is going up. But it is going to be probably a slow race to get there. OSS 950, as that's green. NVIDIA, she's trying. She is trying. Microsoft 404. Hoodie 8470. Yeah, I'm not sure why Micron's down. But see, the thing about a bull market is once you start getting dips, 1%, 2%, 3%, people buy them. You know, like in a bull market, if people see a name go down 20, 30 bucks, they buy. And let's see if, more dip buyers come in a variety of these stocks as people get more excited. Kyle, thank you for the super chat. There's your 1% finder's fee for the bird trade. Thank you. You're welcome, Kyle. I'm happy you. That means you made what, 300 euros? If you're giving me, or pounds? That's a pound, right? That's definitely a pound. That's not a euro. That's definitely a pound. No, that's a euro. No, it's a pound. Dude, why after 2 years can I not tell the difference between these freaking? It's a pound. Yeah, it was a pound. Okay, cool. So you made 300 pounds. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad at all. Micron down 2%. Nvidia 198. OSS up 10. CoreWeave goes red, which is not crazy because they've had a massive run. Nebius is also slightly red. Slightly red. Micron's down because EWY is down. Didn't SK Hynix hit all-time highs yesterday? I guess it ended up falling. So that's why South Korea is down. VIX, we didn't check VIX today. I think we're below 18. VIX is 1770, folks. We are seeing a dramatic. I mean, VIX was at 33 2 weeks ago. Cut in half. Cut in half. And that's helping the stock market. Fear and greed, by the way, is at neutral now. So no more fear priced in. We are very close to greed. We're like, I would say, I don't know, S&P 70, probably a little bit above 70,000 gets us to greed, maybe 7,100, but look at that. We are pretty close to flipping. I wonder what level we flip at, but we are still there. Yeah, SK Hynix was at all-time high, right? So that is weird that Korea is down. SoFi dumping. SoFi, it's not holding on to. See, once again, the thing about SoFi and Hood is that although Hood has aggressive drawdowns, when we're in a bull market, it's Hood's world. I mean, Robinhood controls the world when it's a bull market, and everyone understands that, and they allocate to that. SoFi doesn't have a bull market catalyst. They don't have any catalyst, quite frankly, other than earnings growth. They don't have a crypto catalyst. They don't have a bull market catalyst. Galileo is not really growing decisively. They don't have any catalysts, macro. Well, I should say they have an interest rate catalyst, but we're not getting interest rate cuts anytime soon. So the only catalyst then is Noto's ability to convince the street that SoFi is a good company to invest in, which means they have to put up good earnings. And they've been putting up good earnings, but none of those have really been affecting the stock. And so they're just going to have to keep putting up good earnings, and hopefully that affects the stock. But I don't know if they can rely on some other macro external catalyst to pump it. S&P included, they're not even eligible yet for the S&P yet, right? Well, no, technically they got to be 23, but they just crossed 23.2. Maybe that's your catalyst. But I mean, look, does it even matter? Robinhood got into the S&P at 100, pumped to 150, now it's at 85. It's almost like the S&P catalyst is a tradable catalyst, but I don't know if it's a long-term catalyst, because if it was a long-term catalyst, you know, it definitely doesn't protect a stock from dumping 50% just because they're in the S&P. So it's like a good thing for the stock to be included, but price action wise, I don't know how much it really will sustain a stock to stay at certain levels. Nvidia trying to get to 199. Microsoft 405. Nadella's back, baby. Nadella is back. It's time for Nadella to show everybody who's the boss. They really took Microsoft down 35%, bro. If I was Nadella, I'd be pissed. I'd just be looking at my stock every day. Like, really? We are one of the most important companies on planet Earth, and you think we deserve to be down 35%? Like, yeah, maybe no one uses Copilot, but still, like, that's not enough to take us down that much. Grab, she's trying for 4. She's trying. 390 right there. EOSC is up 15. Google 335. Is Tesla moving? Are we getting the Tesla move? Tesla is moving. Let's see if Nvidia can crack 199 here and Tesla can crack 375. Thanks for reminding me I'm heading to the grocery store to buy Nutella. Someone called him Satya Nutella one day, and I was like, oh, that's hilarious. I can understand how you get the name wrong. Tesla 375 resistance is 2 No, not to 37,000 shares. 37,000 shares at 375. SanDisk and Micron both getting a dump today. Wow, what is that on SanDisk? Lost the 900s almost all at once. It wasn't even like a slow dump. It was, what is that? 880. What about Micron? Micron also. Let me see if there's anything there. I don't see anything. Scam disk. Dude, you guys, whenever you flip sentiment on something, you turn it into a scam. Tom Lee, scam Lee. SanDisk, scam disk. Like, if a stock goes down, you will find a way to turn it into, it is actually hilarious. It's also very entertaining, but it's hilarious. I mean, any stock, like people were calling Hood a scam at 60. It's really funny because it's just like, oh, stock goes down, it's a scam. It's done. Like, it's over with. It really is hilarious though. Oracle at 172, that one's still moving. Why do you call every stock a she? Because she drives me crazy, okay? It goes up, it goes down. Like, of course it would have to be a she. It drives me crazy. Poet at 7, Rocket Lab 72.45. Birds is losing the pump. It's still up, but it was not able to get above 1272. So maybe 1272 was the potential top. Palantir 138. Scamatola is crazy. Yeah, Scam Altman. You guys have said that so many times. Scam Altman. AAOI still down 6. Why is SanDisk down? What is going on with memory? Did Google put out a new paper? Or is this thing just continuing to go down? No, there's no headline on this. These are people that are just selling. These are people who are posting just charts on why it should be breaking down right here. Which, again, if you look at the SanDisk chart, I mean, it's a bullish chart just when you zoom out, but my goodness, you would think it takes a little bit. Look at this thing. You would probably think it takes a breather after a 27 to 965 run. DoorDash, is that pumping? DoorDash is also getting a 5% move. Coinbase is also getting a move. Micro scam. Dude, Saylor put out a new podcast yesterday explaining how he gets people the 11.5% yield on STRC. We'll watch it in a little bit. It legit sounds like a Ponzi scheme. It's probably not, like there's probably some logic to it, but when you're listening to it, the way he's explaining it, it absolutely sounds like a scam. But he's raised $7 billion from it. People are buying it. And they're getting that 11% so far. And if Bitcoin keeps going up, then he'll be able to continue guaranteeing they get that 11%. NVIDIA, give us 199. Give us 199. Everyone is trying to participate in this. NVIDIA, Palantir, BM&R just flipped green. Oklo's up, SMR, the nuclear names. The White House is creating a space nuclear initiative. So that yesterday, I think, also was probably helpful for the nuclear names. Qualcomm, Jason likes this one, 133.87. That's up 1%. Ondas, drones coming back a little bit. Applied Digital, that was up 14% yesterday. Do we have a memory list? Let's make a memory list so that we can just look at memory easily. So inside of memory, we'll do EWI, because that's basically memory. Micron, SanDisk, Western Digital, Seagate. Those are the main ones, right? I don't think there's any other ones. They're all down, all of them. Seagate down 5, Western down 2, Micron down 4, SanDisk down 6. Oh yeah, DRAM, that's a playlist. We might as well put that here, or an ETF. So that's your memory ETF. That's down 4% as well. There you go. They're all scams. So funny, dude. Space is red today, except Firefly. That's green. Rocket Lab a little green. Lunar a little green. And then Black Sky a little green. Everything else, Planet Labs as well. The rest of them are down. CoreWeave is, I wouldn't pay too much attention to CoreWeave going down. I mean, this thing is up 50% in 2 weeks. So, 120 to 115 is nothing. Like that's, same thing with SanDisk, to be honest. I mean, this thing, it went from 500 to 900 in 3 weeks. It's from 900 to 885. Like that's just not, it feels like it should not be that concerning. but they are taking a potential breather. Wow, Microsoft 406. Talk about a breakout. We have not seen a $14 day on Microsoft in a long time. Tesla 376. That's also a $12 day. And then there you go. Finally, 199. All right, folks, I need all of us to harness our energy. We are all across the world, wherever you're watching from, whatever state, country, location, town you are in. We all need to manifest 200 together, okay? Because it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. 200 is going to be hard. There's a couple million shares waiting. So we need to put all our collective energy to get the universe to give us 200 for the first time in 7 months. We will absolutely ring the bell if we hit 200. But we got to really hit it. It has been so... I was with Tanner. I wasn't even live when I saw it too. I was with Tanner. We were about to go live for GTC. Or actually, sorry, GTC had just ended in October. And Tanner and I just stayed on the StreamYard and we were just talking. And then we both just like looked at NVIDIA. We were like, oh my goodness, it's doing it. It's doing it. And then we were both together when it hit 200. And it's ironic because Tanner's the guy who kind of got me into NVIDIA. So we didn't even get to experience it live. So it would be really cool to see if we could experience it live. And if it could get there. Microsoft still moving. It's such a good day. Dude, Microsoft did not deserve that pain. Like, I'm happy that it's getting this move. Again, a lot of tech was on discount, so you could have taken your pick between Microsoft, Amazon, NVIDIA, or Meta. I mean, literally, NVIDIA 160, Microsoft 350. Let's actually do some math right now. Which one was the best one on a mathematical basis? So 406 minus 350 divided by 350. So Microsoft gave you a 16% move. NVIDIA 199 minus 163. NVIDIA gave you a 22% move. So technically the NVIDIA bottom was better. Meta 670 minus 520. I think this is going to be the best one, right? Yeah, Meta 28% move. And then what was the other one? Tesla. So far Meta is the winner. Tesla bottomed at 337, 375 minus 337. That gave you an 11% move. And then Amazon actually might have been up there. Amazon was at 198, 247 minus 198. It gave you a 24% move. So Meta and Amazon. Oracle was good, but Oracle's not Mag 7. But Meta and Amazon were your best buys. And then Microsoft and NVIDIA were up there. So you could have took your pick, but you just didn't feel like Microsoft deserved that much pain. Broadcom up 4. SPY has not hit all-time highs yet. 697.84. We got to hit 697.84. John, thanks for the super chat. In and out, 50% gain. Bird for the win. Congratulations, man. It's a good trade. Good trade. Sometimes a good trade is a good trade. Where is it? The stock's still at 11. Dude, it's still at, I mean, it hasn't hit 1270, but the fact that it's holding 11, it's people are still trading it. People are still trading it. Silver is back at 80. Oh, wow. Silver and gold. Gold's at 48. Silver's at 80. That means copper should be up as well. COPEX is slightly down, but 86.40 today. 200 is not going to be easy, guys. It's going to be hard. The market makers know how psychologically important 200 would be. I mean, think about the amount of millions of option contracts that are sitting at that 200 level and beyond that 200 level. In fact, let's check the open interest today for 200 on NVIDIA is, it's about 5,000. Next week, it's 84,000. 84,000. Let me get the exact number right here. 84,000 call options next week for NVIDIA at 200. Today, if we look at 200, it's April 17th, I should say, not today. There are, April 17th is 2 days from now. I'm sorry, I thought April 17th. So April 17th is 84,000. That's because NVIDIA has Wednesday options as well. I forgot. 84,000. So that's a lot of contracts just for this week to get us to 200. DoorDash up 5, Coinbase up 4, which means you got a lot of people potentially betting that it has a shot to get there. S&P volume, it was half of what it was usually yesterday. Today it's at 8 million. I think that's decent. It's on track to be close to its average. Average is about 98 million shares a day. You're at 8 million right. I mean, technically it should be a lot higher. It could get to that. I mean, it's close to yesterday's average, but yesterday's average is half of the overall average. Now, I asked Jason about this. He said if you look at momentum-based rallies like the one we're having, the best since 2009, low volume is not something to be afraid of. It's actually quite normal. And we looked at March and April's rally of last year. It was very low volume. If you looked at the volume profile on like whatever trading platform you use. So a lot of it is rooted in people either not believing it or not fully ready to participate. And that's where you don't have a ton of money coming in. But the people that do believe in it are buying in size. And that's what's kind of moving the market. NVIDIA, 4.8 trillion. 4.88 trillion on the market cap for NVIDIA. AMD is scam D. See, that's crazy. That's a good one, though. That's a good one, though. Scam D. To be honest, the stock market is a scam. Like, we all know that, right? It is you talk about Ponzi schemes. It is the biggest Ponzi scheme in the world. Literally, all of us are just exit liquidity for another generation. All of us. And it is what it is. And one day we're going to need someone else to be exit liquidity for us, right? Like when we're 70 and we're getting ready to sell all of our stocks and be done with the market. Although, quite frankly, I think when I'm 70, I feel like I'm going to keep trading. I feel like a lot of you guys probably are going to keep trading. It doesn't really matter. But the point is, when you're ready to take some gains off the table, right? Maybe not get out of the whole market. Someone's going to buy this shit. Like, that's why Trump set up these Trump accounts, because when he finally dumps all of his holdings, he needs these little babies with their $1,000 government subsidized accounts to buy his bags. It's just the beautiful thing about America is there is so much energy and excitement and innovation that every generation keeps believing that the market will keep going up. And they've been right for the past 200 years. We've had some hiccups along the way, but they've been right. You believe in America, you bet on America, it'll keep going up. And you kind of have to, or else there's no liquidity for the previous generation to get out of the market. That's why we need to keep making sure people believe in stocks. It's like literally what holds the economy together. But the earnings growth from these tech companies is helping that narrative stay true. 199.14. Okay. Seeing some signs of life. Seeing some signs of life. Let's see if we can get there. This has been the number one stock I've been buying all year. It's been NVIDIA. As much as I love Palantir and Hood, NVIDIA has been the number one stock I've been buying all year. And the reason for that is because those earnings did it for me. Those earnings, like when I saw that thing go down after those numbers, that is, and also, you know, I went to GCC, I got to talk to the executives. Like when you talk to these people and you realize how excited they are and how much they've already accepted the world is going to change, and you have people like Michael Burry doubting that all of this is fake because of depreciation on GPUs, and then the market reflects that fear by giving it a 20% drawdown after the best earnings in history. Remember Jensen at that Morgan Stanley conference who went off basically on everyone about how they had the best earnings in the history of earnings, and the market still didn't understand what he was saying. That to me was enough to be like, okay, I am doubling down. I'm buying more. And it gave a lot of people now, obviously NVIDIA hasn't performed as well as like an AAOI or a Micron or a SanDisk, right? There's been a lot of things that have had better beta, or Nebius, CoreWeave. But this stock should not have gone down to 160. And it's nice to see it finally make a bit of a comeback. Amit, I have TSM 365 covered calls for this Friday. Would you roll it? TSM 379. Yeah, I'd roll it today. You're already in the money. I think 365 is not that deep in the money, so you can get a decent roll. I don't know if they're going to, I think they're going to crush earnings. I don't know if the stock's going to go up because they crush earnings, because TSM already is a $2 trillion company. But, you know, if we're in the right sentiment, then yeah, it's not crazy to see TSM making a move up to 400. So I would roll those calls out before they have earnings. NVIDIA, 199.30. SPY all-time high, is it? It's not all-time high yet. It's 697.84. 697.84 is what we're looking for. At least that's what the official metric. I'll try another one to see what Yahoo Finance or Let's ask Gemini. What is the all-time high on the S&P? Let's see. Okay, Gemini says 698.22. Let's just get to 697.50, and then we'll call it even. Okay, 697.50, and we'll call it an all-time high. We'll call it that. Palantir 137.50. Uber's up 5%. Nice to see Uber catch a bid. They announced the Lucid thing yesterday. I don't know if they announced anything else today. By the way, you guys know Graham Stephan, who's a big real estate YouTuber? Like he is like the OG real estate YouTuber. He had a pretty viral tweet yesterday. He is liquidating all of his real estate and going into stocks. And that doesn't mean he's going to just buy up Google, Amazon, and Nvidia, but he's transitioning his portfolio from physical assets to the stock market. And he wrote a long message, and basically the message was like, I'm only making 5% after all the maintenance and property taxes and tenants and all this shit. And I'm like, wow, it's incredible, because you got a lot more people that are just seeing the markets as a more liquid way of generating return. And by the way, inflation is 3%. So if you're only making 4%, you're effectively making 1%. So it's like, for someone like him who's been in real estate for like 10 years to just completely abandon it now, it is incredible. I've had that thesis for a while, by the way. I have not been a fan of real estate. I do not hate real estate. I feel like the level of research and opportunity you can get into the market is more exciting. Real estate, one could argue, is definitely more stable. It takes a lot more work. And me and my dad go back on this all the time, because my dad's biggest investment has been real estate. And I'd rather have money in the markets. I think eventually I'll have real estate, but for now, I'd rather, this is the greatest time to be an investor in regards to these tech stocks. Nvidia 199.50, and I'd rather allocate here. Is your sister still buying a house? Yes, but my sister, she wants more of a place to live in. She wants something a little bit more official, and so for her, it makes more sense. She's also not like actively trading in the stock market and stuff like that. But for someone like me who like legit, this is my life, I couldn't imagine just having my money stuck in a house, like unless I have an excessive amount of money where I don't care about that money being stuck in a house, which hopefully one day that'll happen. But for now, it's like every dollar I want to put into stocks. But it was kind of crazy to see Graham Stephan basically kind of completely liquidate. Uber commits $10 billion to robo-taxis in strategy shift. Maybe that's why Uber's up. $10 billion in robo-taxis they are committing. I guess that's part of the reason. The fact that it's going up on a robo-taxi headline is crazy, dude. The market is so ready. That's why the Tesla just needs to show it's expanding. The market is so ready to bet on robo-taxis as like the best form of physical AI. It's just not fully ready yet. And, Waymo's not really profitable. It's growing like crazy, but I think the street sees Tesla's strategy as something that could be really, really big. They just got to get it going. Rocket Lab right there, 73.20. 73.20 on the Lab of Rockets. Palantir 137.77. QBTS D-Wave, that is also up there. $20 today. Did it hit 20? Yeah. When's the last time it hit 20? February 25th. Okay, so it's been a minute. It's been over a month and a half of it hitting above 20. Do you still have Grab? Yes, I still have Grab. Getting a nice move on that today, but we got to get above 4 to really, I think, get the street to be more excited. Oil prices coming down is helping all the international stocks, which is very good. Oil is 91.16. Imagine we get that below 90. OSS, beautiful 10% day. IGV, nice 3% move. Even Nike, nice 3% reversal. S&P, very close. Oh, no, we touched 697. Okay, so 697.50, and we'll call it all-time highs. Let's see if it can get above. Let's see, and then NVIDIA is toying with us there, but she's trying. But Uber's PE is 20, Tesla's 300. Look, that's fair. That's also fair. Not trying to justify the valuation. Just the fact that Uber has a low PE and the market doesn't care, but Tesla has a high PE and the market is giving Uber a lift. Get it? Lift from Tesla's sort of robo-taxi narrative. Like, it's hilarious. Record free cash flow for Uber. Market doesn't care. 10 billion commitment to robo-taxi. Market's like, cool, 5%. Like, it's hilarious. That's what the market actually cares about, even though there's such a difference in valuation. That Lyft joke was subliminal, bro. That wasn't even freaking something I planned. That was natural. That was a flow state level of communication. That's why you're here. That is why you're here. That is why we do this. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Allbirds, 365%. Still holding on to 1150. Rubric up 4. Iran is flat, but it's still green on the week. Do you think OSS will dilute? I think they already did a little bit earlier in the year, but if they do, again, it's not people aren't going to sell this off because of dilution. In the short term, they might. People are going to either buy this or sell this based on the idea that they get $1 billion government contract, which, based on what we've seen from their prototypes in edge compute, it feels like it's more likely than not. It's just we don't know when, right? So, yeah, maybe they dilute, but I don't think that's the biggest concern. Webull up 10%. NVIDIA, is she almost there? Is she almost there? Okay, we got 40 cents. This is when we need to put the energy out there. It's all vibes. It's all energy. We need vibes and energy here to make this happen. Literal manifestation to get this going in the right direction. It's going to be tough, though, dude. There's 1 million shares at 200. It's going to be tough. Going to have to be vibe maxing for sure to get there. Where's XLE today? Energy is down. Let me pull up a heat map. Wow, it's a big value to growth rotation today. Look at that. Caterpillar, John Deere, Walmart, Coca-Cola, Exxon, Chevron, AbbVie, NextEra, real estate, GE Vernova. You're seeing a lot of the utilities and industrials and defensives flip to technology. And, that tends to happen in a bull market. Verizon had a good run. It was up 25%. Where is Verizon now? Verizon is still up 11% this year, but it started up 25%. So, people are obviously selling Verizon and they're buying tech. And value in general is going back into growth. Okay, NVIDIA, it's now or never. It's now or never. The exact number on 200, 1.075 million. Honestly, it's a lot of shares, but it's also not. Like NVIDIA's already done 49 million shares of volume. Like, that can get bought up pretty quickly. But we just need to see that happen. Palantir 137, HIMS 22. That one's finally making a move. Kratos up 2%. MasterCard and Visa have been pretty ugly, but I think they've had a bit more of a rebound. MasterCard and Visa. MasterCard still down 8, but it's up from 484. Up from 484. NVIDIA 199.62. Why are you guys saying never? Did I say never? What did I mean to say? I say never we pull back? What did I mean to say? More like now or next week, not never? Okay, I guess I didn't mean to say never. I don't even remember what sentiment. What sentence was it? Oh, it's probably, it's now or never. Oh, no, that's a phrase. What are you guys talking about? That's a phrase. That's not literally now or never. The whole, Are you guys serious? That is a metaphor for you. Like, this is the moment to act. I can't believe you guys tried to nitpick on that. What do you mean you've never heard the phrase now or never? That's such an obvious. No, I'm not taking any heat for that. Not at all. That's a basic phrase that people use all the time. Trying to make me feel bad about that. Even though technically, yes, it's not really now or never, because eventually it's going to hit 200, but still. Let's see, 199.70. 100% I'm getting gaslit, bro. I was like, what are you talking about? When did all right, come on, 20 cents. Manifestation here. We're all just, gonna push it over the finish line. Is there anything other? Let me see if there's any other big headlines while we're waiting for 200. I don't see anything too crazy. Say the Allbirds thing was kind of wild. Where is that stock? It is, wow, it beat 1272. It's breaking out 13. That was not the top. 1272 was not the top. 425% as she is still going. Oh, there was some there was a headline that Anthropic's getting an $800 billion private valuation by certain VCs from Bloomberg yesterday. It's not new news because if you track the private markets, Anthropic is well above that 800 billion mark, but they might raise again pretty soon. And if they do, that's good because they're going to spend all that money they raise on AI infrastructure. That's going to help Bloom. That's going to help Nebius. That's going to help NVIDIA, Broadcom, AMD, Google. All those companies are going to benefit from it. So if they raise more money, that's not the worst thing. NVIDIA, here it goes, 15 cents. Scamifestation is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let's see. Give it to us. Give it what we want. I feel like it'll get there, and then the market makers are just going to mess with us a little bit. But it also feels like it's time. Tesla, 378. Tanner is here. It can go to 200. Tanner, if you want to pop on real quick, I can send you the link. If you want. Tanner, I was telling them the story that you and me saw it go to 200 together because we were streaming GTC, but we saw it after we were done streaming because it didn't hit 200 during GTC. And today we might be able to actually see it hit 200. What is Bird? Bird is a footwear brand that pivoted to AI data centers today. I know it sounds ridiculous because it is, but yeah, that's why the stock is up today. Yes, we will bell at 200. We will bell at 200. S&P 696. Let's see. AMD is following, is it? AMD 257. Oh, yeah, there you go. AMD, finally. AMD 267 was their high. So it would be nice to see if we can crack above 199.30. MasterCard's at 515. I imagine Jensen's probably happy seeing this today. He's been so annoyed over the past couple of months with just beating every metric you could possibly imagine in the street, not showing him any love. And I get it. It's a massive company, right? It's not easy for this thing to move. But when you put up the results and it deserves a move and it's still not moving, that's when, a guy like Jensen's probably pissed. Apple right there, 260. Yeah, Burry has new puts for 100 for Jan 2027. Like, I really think it might be a form of marketing at this point to get people to subscribe. Because if you have something salacious to say, you get more subscribers, even if it's inaccurate. And the idea that he's legitimately thinking this will go to 100. I'm not saying it can't go down, but the idea that it collapses by half, loses $2.5 trillion in market cap, it doesn't seem realistic. It's possible. Anything's possible. I don't know. Guess we'll tell. VIX getting a little spike right there, and oil spiking a little bit. That's not going to be the best for NVIDIA trying to break through. Oil. Well, actually, no, oil's not spiking. Oil's still at 91. Or hold on, let me see. if it's exactly there. VIX is, I don't know why VIX is making a move. It could just be algos. I don't see any headline. Don't see any Iran stuff. Elon just tweeted crude's at 91.88. I mean, that's still below 92. That's not a big deal. Crude oil inventory report came out. Okay, that could definitely have a bad impact on oil, but we're not seeing like a 95, 97 move on it yet. Elon, what did he tweet? Elon, I don't see any major tweet from Elon. Let me pull up this report on oil, see how bad it is. Look, it could be bad, and we probably know it's going to be bad, but is that really where the market says, okay, everything's over? Like, I find it a little hard to believe. Maybe 199.30. Inventories are really negative. I can't find anything else. Well, we knew inventories were going to be negative, right? Because of what Saudi said last week. But it feels like that was more priced in than not. Oh yeah, 10:30, the oil inventories came out. U.S. crude and gasoline inventories declined. WTI oil climbs up. Okay, here's the exact report. I'm not going to be able to analyze this in real time. I've never read one of these, so I'm going to have to look at this tonight. But it is out. And can you guys see this? Well, actually, we can read this. U.S. crude oil refineries averaged 16 million barrels per day, which was 208,000 barrels per day, less than the previous week's average. Okay, that's bad, but we kind of knew that was going to be bad, right? Gasoline production increased last week, averaging 10 million barrels per day. Distillate fuel production decreased, averaging 5 million barrels per day. U.S. crude imports averaged 5 million, decreased by 1 million a day. Over the past 4 weeks, crude oil imports average about 6.1 million, 1.3 less than what we thought it was before. If this is our reason, then yeah, we are potentially going to have to struggle to get that $200 level today. Where's SPY? Is SPY down on this? SPY is very slightly getting a red candle. Bird down from 13 to 11.99. Poet 703, Rocket Lab 73.53. If they are extending the ceasefire, it means there is no deal in the next 2 weeks, so that's elevated oil for 2 months and probably in May as well. Yes, but I wonder how much the market overlooks that. Like, at this point, the market just wants to know there's a solution. You're right. I mean, it would hurt inflation, but if all these companies put up good earnings and you know inflation's coming down because you know there's a deal coming. Also, I don't know, is it really going to take 2 months? Like, that means we wouldn't get a deal by the end of April. Which, I mean, there's only 2 weeks left in April. Maybe it will take another 2 weeks. I guess that is kind of reasonable, but I wonder how much the market's really going to care about it. Soundhound, that's up 8.75%. That's also catching a bid. Yeah, I think the market doesn't care about Iran as much anymore, dude. All these headlines are not really budging it. I think they now care more about earnings. I mean, we know oil is going to be in short supply for the foreseeable future. I mean, forget a couple months. It's going to be years that Saudi said we're not going to be able to produce as much as we were before. But why would we get a 10% rally over the past 12 days if the market cared so much about that? Like, they care, but if they don't think it's going to get worse from this, then they're assuming the oil situation has bottomed. And if we don't get a deal, it'll probably be worse. But if we do get a deal, then I don't know if that's as big of a concern. ASML still down 3. Robinhood holding 84. It's very nice to see Robinhood hold up into the 84 level today and continue being there. Bird still back above 12. XLE, energy's down. I mean, energy should be spiking up a little bit. You're not really seeing your Chevrons, your Exxons, your VGs catch a bid. VG just turned green by a penny, so I don't know if that report's going to be the thing that screws it up. But I guess we will find out over the coming weeks. Intel 52-week high again, as that one is up. Mortgage rates, by the way, 6.4%. So at least it's below 6.5. But you've got mortgage rates that came down, which is good. These are the overall results on oil. Yeah, it's bad. But like, did anyone expect it to be good? We had a freaking war and no ships for a month got through the Strait of Hormuz. So yeah, if the market really deeply was so upset about this, I just don't know why we would have made any bit of move over the past couple of days. It's just the question, I guess, of how badly it continues to be. Let's get a little bit of coverage on oil, and then we'll keep going from there.
That's one reason why we think the risks to our oil forecast, which is pretty close to the futures at this point, Brent averaging in the low 80s this year, are still skewed to the upside on net. The ceasefire, I think, has diminished the risk premium and the probability of very lengthy and large supply losses. At the same time, the flows to the Strait are taking time to recover. So on net, still upside to the forecast.
And is there anything you watch as a real tell in terms of trying to determine, at least near term, where you think prices are going to go?
Yeah, so I think it's important to distinguish between the contracts in the prompt of the futures curve, which very much move with the risk premium and the perception of escalation versus a peace deal. So there it's very much about tracking what policymakers are saying. But then if you move out the futures curve, and actually oil prices in late 2026 are now slightly higher than before the ceasefire, there it's all about fundamentals. How big is the damage to supply? How big of a demand response are we seeing?
Yeah, and this stuff is going to be debated by the markets for the coming years, but I don't know if it changes the earnings growth picture that we're seeing. Wow, Birds is trying to go for 14. 150 million shares of volume today. Yeah, that's going for it. That is going for it. Microsoft 406 holding on to that 3% move. Do you think a peace deal will be the sell the news event or a start of a new bull market? I think it is more going to be interpreted as bullish. Will we get somewhat of a potential sell-off? Sure, because we've made such a big move. But see, that's why these psychological levels are important. NVIDIA cracking 200 and normalizing that this stock deserves to be at 200, and all these companies putting up good earnings in the midst of a peace deal. I feel like that gives you a more bullish swing than sell the news type of swing. And if it is sell the news, then we come back to 690 on the S&P. Like, that's way better than where we were or where we thought we were going to be. So I wouldn't hope that's the worst thing. You got the Apollo CEO live. Let's see what he's saying about private credit. And if he can kind of calm down the markets around this private credit stuff. Apollo is up about 15% from the lows of March as well.
There are good banks and bad banks. There are good asset managers and bad asset managers.
You're a good one.
Insurance company. I believe that we are a good one. And people had a choice when they created products for retail high net worth investors. If you wanted to pay a high dividend, you could invest in growthy companies. You could do things other than first lien. You could do things that were PIK, and you could work with leverage. All of those four choices produced a high dividend. And if you wanted to do what we and others did, you went large cap only, cash pay only, first lien only, and low leverage. And so we have a situation today where investors do not actually know what they own. Maybe they should have known which of those two choices they were making. And so in the absence of knowledge, they're asking for redemptions. For us, if you can't, as a first lien credit manager, meet 5% redemptions per quarter, I'll say it frankly, you're an idiot. This is not that hard to do. And so for us, 750 million in the first quarter, 750 out in the first quarter, this is not of any moment. The story, though, is the story you've been talking about all day, which is the story of change. If you discovered 8 weeks ago that enterprise software was vulnerable to AI, you kind of weren't doing your job. This is knowable. And we're seeing this technology shift take place.
Okay, so Apollo basically saying software is going to be disrupted, but it was obvious that software was going to be disrupted. And that if you're a high net worth retail investor and you took a risk on private equity, then it's kind of your fault, is basically the argument he's making, which he's right about. I mean, if you took a risk in the private markets, there's always something bad that could happen. You don't have the same types of disclosures, same types of profiles on profit trajectories. So the idea that it's a systemic mortgage crisis like 2008 probably is not happening, which is, more encouraging than not. NVIDIA's trying. She got to 199.50 again, even after that oil report. It really looks like she wants to get there. 199.87 is what she almost was able to break through from. AMD 256, S&P 696, Birds at 1318. D-Wave up 18% on the day again, up after a 20% day yesterday. Tesla 377, Coinbase up 3.6. Yes, intraday high for the S&P, which is nice to see. Palantir, I think 140 is very possible there. Maybe not today, but it's nice to see it catch that bid. NVIDIA, she might just be stuck here all day. Is the Nebius run over? I don't know, but I don't think it taking a break is going to make the bulls that upset. I mean, sometimes you want to see this stuff relax a little bit. So if it normalizes around the 150s, that is not horrible. CoreWeave is back to green. Went down for a little bit. People bought it up. Why does it feel bad to make money just because it wasn't enough? That's the issue with covered calls as well, right? It's like you're selling your shares at a profit and you got paid to wait, but it's not enough of a profit, or it could have been more, and so you feel bad. And it reminds you how much of a privilege it is to invest, right? Like the fact that you're complaining about, I could have made XYZ more money than I made, is not something most people are used to debating with, right? Like that's not the easiest thing for people to do. Like they get a paycheck and that's it. That's your time for your money. The fact that you can even tell yourself, oh, if I waited, I could have made another $1,000. Like, it's hilarious that we feel bad about it. But we're humans and we're greedy. And we always feel bad about that stuff. Fen says, I made 150% from Bird. Congrats. Look, these are good trades. The trades work. The trades freaking work. Sam, thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Amit, for the live tickers, news, and stock analysis. I've been following your channel for the past 3 months. Appreciate you. I believe these are Indian rupees, if I'm not wrong. So I believe you are watching from India, which is awesome. And thank you for keeping up with the channel. I haven't been to India since October 2024, and I would love to go back. Hopefully soon. 199.40 on NVIDIA. She's still moving. Still trying to move. Why didn't you make 25% on VE yesterday? Yeah, exactly, right? It's like, that's the thing. When a stock goes up like crazy and people are like, oh, I could have made more money. And it's like, you can't take up every opportunity. But it's that feeling of like, man, why didn't I put my money there if that one was going to move? And that's just like the mental anxiety, I think, that all of us have to deal with every day. Knowing that you can't be in everything, but still. It's right in front of you, you know? It's like that's the difference between this and real estate as well. Real estate, you know, you're not tracking your home price. I mean, some people do, but you're not literally looking at your home's net worth every day. Go with stocks, you are. It's like a game that's constantly eating at you. And then if it's going down, it's also a game that's eating at you for buying something that immediately loses its value. Especially if there's some freaking, headline and you have no control over it. Oracle right there, 171. Chris had an interesting take yesterday as well on this idea of homes versus real estate. And his argument was with an aging population, net negative immigration, shrinking family size, marriage age being pushed later and later, and a younger generation that's the most levered up, and the highest level of home price to income ratio, My theory is that 90 to 95% of anyone of homes that anyone buys today will be worth the same price or less 10 years from now. People agree with that? People think that there's a fair argument there that 90% of homes that you buy will be worth either the same or less in 10 years? Maybe they'll be up a little bit, but if we compare it, like basically, do you think real estate will even come close to the S&P 500 over the next decade? Let's say over the next decade, S&P doubles, which I think is kind of conservative, but let's just say it doubles over the next decade. Do homes double? And does real estate double? Or even get close, even 20%, 30%? Obviously, it depends on the location, right? New York, San Francisco, it's a little bit different. But like we're talking about regular real estate as an industry, as an aggregate industry. Does it have that big? First of all, you got to get freaking rates to come down and mortgages to come down, which, stocks have gone up in the face of high interest rates. And I think that's another difference, because really to juice up the housing market, you need those rates to come down. And stocks don't need rates to come down. I mean, it helps, but they have earnings that are irrespective of interest rates. Nvidia, she's trying again. She's trying again. Seems like a lot of people are saying they agree with that. Maybe not literally no gain in 10 years, but realistically in 10 years, if the house is up 10%, the opportunity cost of where you could have put that money, I think, is Chris's bigger point, and where it could have gone. We also have to factor in inflation. So you kind of got to beat 3% every year on that. 199.58. 199.58. Elizabeth Warren says she sees a risk to the NVIDIA acquisition of a software company in a letter to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Secretary of Energy Chris Wright. What is Elizabeth Warren talking about? What risk is she seeing in an NVIDIA acquisition? Wow, 22 minutes ago, U.S. Senator Warren voices concerns over NVIDIA's acquisition of Slurm, which is an open source AI company. She's requesting information about the government's dependency on NVIDIA hardware and software. Oh, please get out of here. Please stop. Please stop. I hate when some of the politicians think they actually know stuff about technology. And it's not just Warren, but it's like, you probably know nothing about why they're acquiring this company or how relevant it is, but you're afraid that the government depends. Newsflash, it's not just the government. It's every portfolio on the planet depends on NVIDIA. The government, everyone depends on this thing holding up, which means they need a lot of leeway to keep growing, because if they don't, we're going down the drain. She missed the pump. She definitely missed the pump, dude. It's just so funny when they the politicians act like they're doing such a noble thing. It's like they know nothing about this stuff. They don't spend any time researching it, talking to people. If anything, they just demonize the business leaders that are trying to make progress. I'm not saying they should be skeptical. I'm not saying they shouldn't have constructive conversations. Obviously, you shouldn't just have laissez-faire. The business guys get to do whatever they want. But when they try to bring up concerns over stuff they don't know about, it really is funny. AMD 256, NVIDIA. She can't break 199.50. She can't break 199.50 here. It feels like she's trying to learn. Do you really think she's trying to learn? I mean, if you do, that I just have a disagreement with that. I don't think she's ever tried to learn this stuff. I think Warren, in particular, likes to grandstand. That's her brand. That's who she is, It's not good or bad, but that's who she is. Same thing with Bernie. I don't think Bernie really knows anything about data centers or how much they've contributed to GDP growth, but he wants a data center moratorium because it makes Jeff Bezos more rich. I don't think they actually know that much about it. Imagine a politician trying to learn. I think there are very few of them that really do try to have productive conversations. But again, we talked about this. Politicians want power, and they have to placate to their constituency. It's not like she's going to learn about open source architecture from NVIDIA and be like, oh my goodness, this is a phenomenal acquisition, and go tell all the people in her state that vote for her about how amazing NVIDIA is. No, she's going to keep framing the billionaires as like horrible people and they're getting rich and AI data centers are taking your jobs. And that's the game and the route that she's going down. Intel still up 2. Palantir up 3. Nebius down 1. CoreWeave up 1. Yeah, NVIDIA's toying with us. She's not getting it there. Admit, I personally am more of a Democrat-leaning moderate, but they need to form original opinions instead of just a contrarian one. It's not going to help. Yeah, look, and the Republicans are not that much better either, right? So don't think me saying I don't love Elizabeth Warren is me saying I love the Republicans. Like both parties, I think, play their own games to try to placate to their base. I just think as an independent thinker, it's important to realize when that's happening. And I don't think Elizabeth Warren wants information about NVIDIA's newest acquisition because she's curious to learn about it. I mean, both sides really try to use these as opportunities to capitalize on. Microsoft getting a breakout, 408, $15 day on Microsoft. Finally, that one makes the move. NVIDIA, once again, can we break through 199.50? This is the moment. Tesla also gets you 380. Dude, imagine Tesla back to 400, NVIDIA 200. This would be very nice to see. Retail would be heavily rewarded. Is Bird still pumping? It is now down to 1280 from 14, but still up 400% today. Okay, 199.70. Finally. All right, here it is. It is now or now. It is now or now to make this happen. 200 resistance. It's only 961,000 shares now. It was 1 million. Now it's less than 1 million. Come on, let's see. Let's see if she can give it to us. It would be so cool. So freaking cool if we can get there. Yeah, we need the Trump tweet right here. We need the Trump tweet right here. He needs to be like, NVIDIA is a great company. Dude, Elizabeth Warren would lose her mind. He's like, NVIDIA has great GPUs. Dude, he gives us that, it's done. We're 200 confirmed. Legit content in chief, dude. I don't know who the next president's going to be, whether it's Vance or Newsom or whoever it is, but we're definitely not going to get those types of moments where they step in and put a ticker in a tweet. That's not going to happen in the next administration. So it's pretty particular to the Trump admin. Just buy up all the shares. I really wish I could buy the 940,979 shares. I really wish I could. I'm a little low on liquidity right now, but by the way, that's the proper way of saying you're broke. It's like, when your friends want to go hang out, go on a vacation, instead of saying, guys, I'm broke. Like, you know what? I've allocated my capital accordingly and I'm just a bit low on liquidity right now. That's the proper intellectual way to say that you're broke. And it makes you feel better. It makes you feel a lot better. VG, 1253. NVIDIA, they're not giving it to us. They're not giving it. What's in your retirement account right now? Let me pull it up. Look, it was a good buy, throwing all that money last Wednesday. It was not the literal bottom. It was the day after the ceasefire was announced, but completely threw all of it in there. It is Grab, Palantir, NVIDIA, Broadcom, AMD, Google, Robinhood, Meta, Oracle, Rocket Lab, and Tesla. And we're up on all of them except Grab, because I bought back in September. And Palantir, we are down. Palantir average is 153. Because Palantir didn't really have that decline on the ceasefire day. It had it a week after with the SAS sell-off. Everything else is in the green. Everything else is in the green, and the total value of the account is 58 54,000. 54,000. 54,800. 60,900 is what I've contributed. So we're down about 6,000 on it. Again, solo 401k is super, super important. It really helped with my taxes this year. If I didn't put that 60 grand into my solo 401k, my taxes would have been much worse. So if you're self-employed, definitely something to look into. All right, NVIDIA, she's making us wait. She's really making us wait here. If you had some real estate, you'd be more liquid. Dude, that's the other reason I don't want to buy a house, dude. That down payment. I know there's so many loopholes to not pay a heavy down payment. I get it. The stress of dealing with a house at this point is not something I want. Also, again, I am about to make a private investment because I have a friend who has a good hookup and he's getting me a decent deal. But I'm probably getting into Anduril. Well, I'm in. I mean, he reserved it yesterday for me. I have to send him the money in a month, but doing Anduril. And the reason for Anduril, I mean, we can talk about it another day. I've been doing a lot more research on Anduril, but I'd rather invest in Anduril I'm getting a $95 billion valuation, which is up there. I get it. But I'd rather do that than put that money on a down payment towards a house. This is, so the private market part of my life also stops me from getting into real estate because, there's a decent chunk of money there in the private markets. And I feel like in a couple of years, I can liquidate that and then buy a house versus actually have to sell stocks to buy a house right now. He kind of convinced me though. I didn't want to do it. And then we got on the phone and he was just like, bro, it's Anduril. And I was like, you're right. And the other thing, Anduril's just got that freaking $20 billion Army contract, Golden Dome. They are growing like crazy. They have better margins than the Lockheeds and the Raytheons of the world simply because of the way they use software. And I think when it goes public, it's going to get bid the hell up. That is not going public, in my opinion, less than a $200 billion. Anything can happen. Maybe we get into a bear market next couple of years and it's tough for them to go public, but I think they're going up. So even that, I'd rather do that than real estate. I feel like Anduril is going to be a way better investment than that. It's not Garcia. It's another friend. So same friend I've been telling you about. I had dinner with him back at GTC. He's been a good friend for a while, but we got to really get close to each other and catch up. And he's, really doing well in the VC world. And he's been getting access to a lot of deals. And the way you succeed as a VC is you fill up allocation. If you get allocation, you got to keep filling it up. And he's just building a massive network of people that are, he's basically the drug dealer in the middle. And he's connecting people with the drugs, which are the Kalshis and the OpenAIs and, the private stocks. The one stock he said he is unable to get in the private markets is Anthropic. He's like, dude, no one can get Anthropic. He's like, it is almost impossible to get that stock. Which goes to show me that Amazon, Google as the sort of play in the public markets towards it is kind of your best bet here, or a Zoom or a Workhorse. I mean, there's a bunch of different public stocks that have it. By the way, freaking what's his name? Sam Beckman-Fried would have had an $80 billion stake off a $500 million investment if he kept his Anthropic and didn't get liquidated. So that's the one name that he can't get, but it means that when it does go public, Allbirds, all-time high, 15, my goodness, that the public market proxies are definitely going to get a massive gain on their balance sheet when that happens. You can get it using VCX. However, I think the valuation on VCX is kind of dumb. VCX is at $88. Yeah, dude, this was at 572 the other day. So now maybe the valuation is more reasonable. But, it's nice to get more proper allocation in. Amazon and Google have it in a much easier way to digest. NVIDIA still stuck at 199.50. Are you holding on to your grab spreads? Yes. We got to give them till at least Q1 to put up some results, see what they look like. And if the stock is stuck, then we end up having to wait it out. But if it makes a move, then those should be closer to in the money, hopefully by the end of the summer. But at this point, it depends on earnings. Credo still up 2%. as that continues to go green. I bought 2 single-family homes in 2023, and still my rent is not covering all the expenses I come out of pocket every month. See, you're not the first person to say that to me. Like, you really got to get a good deal in real estate for it to be profitable. Because again, I told you guys, me and my dad were about to buy a house because my sister just bought a house in a new area. And so me and my dad were like, let's go 50-50 on another new one that they're making. And then I sat down with him and I did the numbers. I'm like, Dad, we're not making money off this. And he was like, yeah, but it's, I was like, what do you mean? Yeah. I was like, we're not making any money. It's like, we could freaking buy Amazon and sell covered calls and make more money than doing this. He's like, but it's safe. I'm like, but Dad, like, what are we doing here? We're going to deal with the toilet being clogged to make $4,000 a month that ends up not netting us anything. Like, and so that's when I was like, all right, I'm done with this right now. I'm like, I'm absolutely like, no way, bro. And we would have to put like 150 down. And the market was down at the time. So it's like, hold on, if we have 150 liquid, we could put that into something that's definitely going to do better. Yeah, you want to unclog toilets or look at candles? Like, he was upset at me. He was like, we need to diversify. I was like, I get it, but I'm not going through all of this to not make anything a month when I know that money inside of a Mag 7 with very basic covered calls will net me way more. Like, it's just tough to justify that. But maybe that's a Jersey thing, you know, maybe if you're in a different location, it's different. But I was just like, no, there's no way, dude. Not right now. You're building home equity and it's not making sense, but it's at least cash flow neutral. No, that's fair. And it's less risky than buying a Microsoft at 420 and then it goes to 350. I get it. It's just, if you're willing to take more of that risk, the returns are just substantially better. So that's, but again, I don't blame people for diversifying, because if you have a lot of money, like, obviously you shouldn't be just stuck in one thing. It's just, you know, if you're not at a super, super, super high level, then it's easier to focus on just one thing. S&P, okay, 697.18. Let's see if this one continues to make a move. NVIDIA, is it happening? Is it happening? Oh, it is. This is the 5th time that it's teased us here. Let's see. Let's see. Siraj, thanks for the super chat. Did you check the Graham Stephan post on how he's exiting real estate? Yes, that was the entire premise of this conversation. So definitely made headlines today. And again, I'm not anti-real estate. There's plenty of people that are able to make money in real estate, make rental income, all that stuff profitably. Like, I've never been against real estate. I just personally don't love it as much. It's just the Graham Stephan post was crazy, because the fact that this guy's been in real, he's been like the OG real estate YouTuber, and he's upset because he's barely making a return. It was interesting to see how he's thinking of his mindset and how that's pivoting. Okay, NVIDIA, it is literally now or never at this point. It is time. You've kept us waiting for, oh shoot, I have to be in New York at 12 o'clock, and I just noticed. All right, so legit NVIDIA, in the next 5 minutes, you need to make this happen, because I actually do have to leave soon. I did not notice it was 11 o'clock. Bird, congrats if you got in. $16, 600% on the day. Generational wealth has been created betting on the bird. There you go. Maybe it keeps going. It's only a $140 million market cap, but maybe this one ends up collapsing. I don't know. I'm not in it, but for those that are in it, you're making some money. You're making some money. Palantir is 139.29. Let's see if we can get 140. SPY, very close to all-time highs. We need 20 more cents, but we're doing it, up another 0.5% today. And it would coincide very nicely with the 200 NVIDIA. If you put in a generational amount. That's true. If you put in $1,000 and you made 5,000, congrats. But you know, if you put in like $200,000 and you made $1 million, that's even, but like, did anyone put in $200,000? You know, like, I'm sure some people probably did. I mean, there's got to be traders that are going crazy over this thing right now. Traders love volatility, and this thing is super volatile. Can you buy puts on this thing though? Hold on. You got to be able to buy puts. Oh, you can't buy puts on this thing. Damn. They don't have any options. That would have been nice to see if you could. I put in 20K. Congrats. There you go. Dude, I legit have to leave in 5 minutes. I legit have to be out of here. That New York traffic is going to be crazy if I don't leave soon. You can't short birds and Robinhood. I just tried. There's no short option. Oh, you can short it. Sorry, puts are different than shorting it. Well, the scary thing about shorting though is like, what if it keeps going up? That's the issue. What if it keeps going up? Comedy, thanks for the super chat. What was that South Korean related stock? Poet. Yes, it's not a South Korean stock, but from my subtle due diligence, the South Koreans are all over this thing. And they think it's the next photonics play to gap up. So it has heavy trading volumes from South Korea. NVIDIA. Yeah, I mean, the odds are birds could get halted, and then it has a massive downside catalyst just after the halt. And then if you're short, well, if you're short, that would be good for you. But if it gets halted and it has an upside catalyst and it just keeps going, which is basically what's happened since $12, you know, being short right here could be scary. Wow, Tesla, 385. 385 Dolores. You got Duolingo, that's at 98. That's up 7% as well. Palantir, almost 140. Reddit's up 2. Hims is up 2. Oracle's up 6. XNDU is going up. Oh, this is another quantum name? Well, 26%. You know, I should have taken a quantum trade. Literally the day before the Jensen quantum thing, I was like, that's probably going to pump quantum. And I didn't take the trade. Wasn't guaranteed to pump quantum. I didn't know Jensen would be giving a quote. I thought NVIDIA was going to do like some side panel, but Jensen came out and he said, yep, quantum matters. And then boom, that was enough to pump the whole sector. So if you got in it, congrats. You're making a move right there. SPY 697. NVIDIA 197. Birds is this is very similar to one of these stocks last year that did the same thing around May. Forgetting the name of it, but Krispy Kreme, D-Nut, and then Kohl's and Krispy Kreme. Those two both had, I don't know if it was this big of a move, but it was a pretty aggressive move there. What do you think about Tempest? I mean, look, good healthcare AI play. It's up 11%. I'm not sure why it's up 11% today, but I've never understood their moat. Healthcare as a sector has been pretty crappy this year, but Tempest has been one of the better performing ones over the past 2 years. I'm just not fully sure what the market loves about this. Now, Pelosi is long and so is Kathy. So Pelosi and Kathy both have been long on this one for a while. All right, NVIDIA, you got 2 minutes. Literally 2 minutes. I mean, hopefully it waits until 345 to get to 200 for the market close. But if it doesn't, then you guys will have to enjoy 200 on your own. If I'm gone. Allbirds, complete vertical, 600% right there. And it's the right environment. I mean, look at Robinhood, 9%. 9% on Mr. Robinhood. Oracle, another 5%. It was at 130 last week. Like a lot of these names. Even ServiceNow, another 7% right. Even if you bought the dip yesterday, 7%. And Tesla, 360 yesterday to 385 today. Sam, this is crazy, right? Absolutely freaking wild. But maybe we are back. I mean, 697.30, that would be 3 green days of 1% or close to 1% of the S&P if we end out at around 698. FOMO's happening. Oh, FOMO's definitely happening. There's definitely some FOMO coming in. But even with the FOMO on an NVIDIA's still cheap. Even with the FOMO on a Microsoft's not ridiculously expensive, right? Now, FOMO on a bird, I don't know. We're going to have to see what happens there. But look at that chart. Absolutely crazy. But the FOMO coming in on some of these. I mean, there should be some FOMO on these names, right? If they're making the move and they've been discounted for 2 months, then now it's time for that FOMO to take it to the next level. Yeah, Zeta was up 4% yesterday while software pulled. Zeta, AppLovin, Palantir, and Oracle were your green names when software was down. So it makes sense that they're getting a bigger move today because they were resilient in the software sell-off again. SPY, 11 cents from 697.50, which is your all-time high, but I mean, it's pretty incredible still. 697 right here. All right, guys, I got to be out. I got to go. I wish I could stay for 200 NVIDIA. It looks like they're not going to give it to us that easily. It would be amazing if we could get it, but I don't think we're getting it. I'm going to literally call my Uber right now. Well, I can stay while I'm waiting for the Uber, right? That's like, that's like, I mean, I should have called it 5 minutes ago. I'm stupid. Hopefully there's not a lot of traffic here. Okay, we're going to exit Uber and go to Lyft because let's see if Lyft is cheaper. Lyft is $12 cheaper. So that's why we're picking Lyft. There you go. That's what we're doing. And we're going to get a 3% discount because we're buying with our Robinhood credit card. Let's see how long it takes. 190.80 again. Come on, 20 cents. Let's see. Say hi to the dentist. I'm not going to the dentist. I'm going to the podcast studio. Steve and I will be recording our first solo episode today. I'm actually really excited for it because this is going to sound so bad, but because I get to talk. Because I actually get to talk on my own podcast. So I hope you guys enjoy it, but it'll be just me and him going back and forth. And, we will still have guests, but I also want to make something every week that people can listen to and actually get an update and some analysis on what's happening in the market. Okay, Lyft is in 4 minutes. I should have 2 minutes. I should probably go downstairs in 2 minutes. Can you give us 200 in 2 minutes, NVIDIA? Can we make this happen? Yeah, if all of us just bought 1,000 shares right now, that still would not even put in a dent, but still, maybe. You said 2 minutes, 20 minutes ago, but now I really mean 2 minutes. Now I really mean, yeah, it's literally going to happen once I leave, dude. It's basically going to happen once I leave. Wow, hoodie. Dude, by the way, I told you guys, my sister called me yesterday. As soon as I saw her name on the freaking phone, I knew what she was going to say. She called me. I was like, what do you want? She was like, why is my portfolio going up? You told me that we don't have a deal with Iran. What's happening? I was like, calm down. We have another round of negotiations. She was like, what does that mean? I was like, go watch my YouTube video at this point. I just spent 10 hours talking about it all day. At this point, watch my daily recap and you'll understand why. But she was so happy, dude. She was like, why am I making money? I was like, because the market's going up again. And we bought a little bit of that dip. So there you go. All right, I got to go. Lyft is giving me a 2-minute warning. All right, I'm out. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Hopefully we see 200 by the end of the day. Well, hopefully it happens on Tanner's stream. Tanner will be streaming in like an hour and a half. So it would be very nice for that to happen on his stream. He is a OG NVIDIA bull. I'm putting his YouTube link in the chat. If you don't, or if you haven't watched him at 1 p.m., check him out at 1 p.m. He'll be live. And let's see if Tanner's chat can manifest this $200 level. Let's see if it can happen. All right, that's it for me. I literally don't even have time for the word of the day. I got to get out of here. I'm going to be super late. Thank you, everybody. We'll do word of the day on the market close. We'll be back in a couple hours. Tanner, get us that 200. I will see you guys on the market close. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.